say they need to stop having news. They need to just stop. They need to stop with all the video game news just for like a week.
That makes more sense.
Actually, no. I'll take that back. All news needs to cease.
Okay.
Cease. Humanity needs to cease doing things because I would just like a week where we could have like a very leisurely, casual podcast from like. I bought some new pants. I made red beans and rice last week. It was pretty good,
That
you know.
nice.
But no. Sony had the state of play last week, and Microsoft was like, "Oh yeah, also, well, we're gonna do a thing too." Oh, are you doing a thing, Sony? Well, I see. So it's like a YouTube arms race of
I can do a thing too.
game announcements. We could have an hour and a half show where we announce a bunch of shit that everybody already knows about too.
Are you excited?
Yeah. So welcome back to the Rage Like podcast where we have to do the news. So much news.
There's a lot.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Mike.
I wish yeah. I remember when I started this podcast and it was like, you remember back in the loading bar days when it was just like shoot the shit for an hour and then answer questions for an hour?
Yeah.
And I was like, what if we did gaming news instead? And as time has gone on, it was like, well, I don't know, we'll shoot the shit for half hour and then I'll get like 4 news stories and we'll talk about them for a half an hour. I've got so many tabs open right now.
There's a lot of tabs, guys.
And the first 2 of them are like 30-minute to an hour long like trailer roundup. So
yeah.
Yeah. So I apologize. Unless have you done anything really spectacular? Did you go to like an island party with Instagram influencers or?
I saw a documentary
No, that doesn't count.
called The Last Days of Phil Hartman.
Okay.
That was actually kind of interesting.
Okay.
Just talking about Phil Hartman's beginnings and his endings, I guess. If that makes sense.
All right. I watched that that Amazon show with that the BoJack people made. Undone.
Yeah.
The rotoscoping. It was pretty good. 8 20-minute episodes. So it was like bam, bam, bam.
I hear it's really good.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah,
They announced some stuff about BoJack today, actually.
I saw that.
Yeah.
There was a trailer for the new season.
Yeah.
But
Final season.
we're not gonna talk about that. I'm putting The Last of Us 2 in the trailer. I got to get those hits, man. I got to get those clickbait thumbnails. I got to do better clickbait thumbnails.
Let's talk about how uninterested we are in The Last of Us.
I'm going to be like, you won't believe what happens in The Last of Us 2.
There's more people who it turns out there wasn't the last of them.
That's right.
What a twist.
Yeah,
Could have saw that coming.
But we're not starting there because we're going to start at the beginning of the state of play. But we are going to go over. We're going to go at pretty top speed, and then we could talk about our feelings about BoJack Horseman if we get through all this stuff.
Okay.
So we started out with Humanity, which looks like a utterly insane video game.
Yeah.
It's like millions of tiny people that look kind of like a Lemmings game, but then there's also a bunch of guys with lightsabers that they're fighting
And lasers.
and they're jumping off of cliffs in like huge numbers.
Swimming in cubes.
I have no idea what this game is.
I'm just saying things at this point, but they're all real.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of you remember that game Everything that came out like 2 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Where you could just keep going down and then up and then down and
the cows that like click.
everything just kind of rotated at 90 degrees to get around the map.
Shit was crazy.
It kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, I don't know. It seems weird.
It's very strange.
I don't know how I could describe. It seems like Lemmings, but weirder than Lemmings.
I'm curious. I want to know what's going on in it.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's on my radar. Speaking of radars, we got a Call of Duty Modern Warfare story trailer.
Yeah.
When we were watching this, I came to the abrupt realization that every single line in the trailer could have been like the dramatic line at the end of the trailer, like the weapons are out in the world, and then Call of Duty, and
or it's like we're all killers or whatever.
Call of Duty. Yeah, like it was like 2 minutes of just full on
closing lines.
Closing lines. Yeah, and. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. This is the part of the next Call of Duty game that I'm looking forward to, right? I play the single player. I don't play multiplayer. The character models and all the environments and everything look fantastic.
They look amazing, actually. I'll give the game that a lot.
Like,
especially the way Price looks.
Yeah. Even though he looks a little, I mean, I guess he's younger at this point. I guess the implication is that he had the Lemmy, the mullet that goes to the mustache. Yeah. And that he just like never got rid of it. Like he had it because he looks like he's like a teenager in this game.
It's very strange.
And then he just kept that hairstyle his entire life. I mean, come on, he could have started with. Do you think that if you call him that if they call this main character Price, that we're all going to be like, that's not Price. He's not wearing the floppy hat. He doesn't have the Lemmy mustache.
I think that's actually what would happen, to be honest.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm reminded of that, the Red Letter Media review for Star Trek Nemesis, where they like got Tom Hardy and like shaved his head, and it had to be like, because Picard's always been bald, right? Because he's a young Picard in that movie.
Right.
And it's like, if he wasn't bald, we'd be like, hey, who's that guy with hair? Picard doesn't have hair. Even though he has a little bit of hair.
I always forget that's Tom Hardy.
Yep. It was like before he bulked up. It was
He
before
was like
Bronson.
14, basically.
He was skinny as hell.
Super skinny. He was really, really young, too.
God, that movie kind of sucks.
It's not great.
In any case, I don't
Data
know.
died, but not really.
It's kind of funny. Let me ask you this: Do you kind of feel like this color, even though it looks beautiful and all the stuff, and I'm sure it's going to be fine?
No.
I'm a little bit bored at the idea of going, because we've been to space, we've been to the near future, we've had nanotech magic powers, and then we did World War II again, and now it's just like, and now we're going back to. It feels like time isn't a flat circle, but the Call of Duty franchise apparently is a flat circle. Like, we got back to World War II, and now we're doing Modern Warfare. We're going to do 3 Modern Warfares. Then we're going to go to near future. Then we're going to go to space. Then we're going to get mad. We're going to go back to World War II. And then it's just going to go in a circle forever.
Yeah, because the issue is that, like, there's too many modern shooter games.
Yeah.
Because the original Modern Warfare came out, there wasn't really that many modern shooters.
Everything was World War II.
Everything was World War II related. And so it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
But this is just them doing what everyone else is doing, I think, is the issue.
Well, it's like, what? They inspired the entire industry to go to Modern Warfare, and then they tried to lead the industry somewhere else, and everybody was like, no! And they're like, all right, we'll just make more Modern Warfare. And we'll even call it Modern Warfare. They could have called it something else, like...
The modernist warfare?
Look, they've had Modern Warfare, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare... You remember, guys, that you used to have, like, the big red one, World at War, right? Like,
there used to be a lot of interesting names for those.
Yeah. There used to be some other names. Ghosts, even though Ghost sucks.
Yeah, Ghost was not great, from what I hear.
South American mind control drugs. That's all you got to remember about Ghost. Speaking of South American mind control, Watam looks like my mind has been controlled by South American mind control drugs. This is a new one from the Nobi Nobi Boy, Katamari Damacy guy. And it looks insane.
And I still don't know what's happening in the trailer every time I look at it.
It's a bunch of boxes and poop and noses and toilets and flowers and seeds and everything. And they're all walking around making children's noises. They sound like young children. And things are happening. There's a giant fork. There's a toilet with a happy face on it.
That flushes down it's fucking weird.
It flushes down a stone poop. Like a gray poop, and then later on there's a bunch of poops asking the main character to like blow up with them, and then it does, and they all turn into golden poops.
It's so confusing.
It's really weird. I would kind of expect nothing more from this particular guy. I mean, Nobi Nobi Boy was like, that was early PS3 or like year 2 or year 3 PS3.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's being published by Annapurna Interactive because they're like they just throw money at indie shit these days.
I still don't know what's going on. Like, it says there's a co-op mode, and I don't understand how a co-op mode would work in this.
You got to work together. One person's the nose, one person's the ice cream cone, and the other person's the toilet. Michael, come on!
Like, I think it's neat that it's like has a red arrow and a blue arrow pointing probably at who's who kind of thing.
Yeah,
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. From there, we looked at Arise, which it looks like one of these indie game. It's like it looks to me like what, Viking funeral, and then you're in the afterworld. You play as Santa Claus Viking in the afterworld, like just kind of going on an adventure and solving puzzles. And
it almost like seems like maybe it's the sort of idea of earning his place in Valhalla, if it is a Viking kind of thing.
Maybe, or like traveling there in the afterworld or something. We didn't actually see any like enemies or anything. It was mostly just kind of traversal and puzzles and things like that. I mean, it looks cool. I honestly feel, on the show, Michael, when I say, you remember that game Arise? And you're like, no. And then I show it to you and you're like, oh, yeah.
That's going to happen with this.
You remember when we talked about Arise 8 months ago and then now it's out and it's like,
okay. There's a game that literally happened to us not that long ago and I don't remember the name of it.
Of course. It was so memorable. You're going to forget about Arise by the end of this podcast.
Probably.
I'm going to ask you the name of this, the second part of the podcast. You're going to be like, I don't know, Viking guy.
Santa Viking.
Yeah. Let's see. LA Noire, the VR case files is now on PSVR. As somebody who's played LA Noire, the VR case files, I can tell you that putting LA Noire into VR did not help it.
Oh, jeez.
I played that with Brushwood, and that was like the only reason that it was fun was because Brian and I were just we just went nuts and tried to do every stupid fucked up thing that we could.
That video was crazy, by the way.
But like, yeah, LA Noire to me was never a game. LA Noire needed less, not more.
Well, it needed more things to do.
Yeah.
But the version it is now needed less.
Yeah.
And this probably didn't help at all.
So I don't know. I'm not interested.
What I love about LA Noire though is you can get everything wrong, but the case still solves itself.
That's true. And it's out. It's out now.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of makes me wonder though, like, it's the VR case files. So do they do the switch over to the insurance guy? And because there's like the whole shootout at the end, like that's a big action sequence.
I'm not sure on that one.
I don't know. LA Noire.
Spoilers for LA Noire.
If you ain't played LA Noire, I'm not taking the rap for that one. Also, don't play LA Noire. Find yourself like a podcast
Just
where
watch LA Noire.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who just have Let's Plays of it.
Watch one case and then just read the Wikipedia article on it because you've got it after one case. You drive, you'll turn over a shoe for 20 minutes. You tell a guy, you're lying. And he's like, oh, I am lying. And then you're done.
That's pretty much the game, yeah.
Every so often you get to shoot somebody.
It's like a terrible Ace Attorney game.
Yeah. It also looks really like muddy. They've done this like remaster, but it still kind of looks that weird face scan tech used has not aged super well.
Not really.
At this point, it kind of reminds me of you remember that game Siren on the PS2? It was a horror game where they took video of people's faces and projected it onto like mannequins with facial features.
I forgot about that.
And so it was like really disconcerting to look at where you're just like, It's like, no, they're not the ghosts. They're just the regular people. Like,
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was the thing that happened.
We also got a montage for stuff coming to the PSVR. I'm not even going to talk about most of this because it's trash. There's, I was telling Michael that I'm so tired of VR games where it's like, all right, here's your hands. You're going to shoot. You're going to climb a ladder. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I played Arizona Sunshine. But Gorn, I've known this for a while. Gorn is finally coming to PSVR. I don't know how much you know about Gorn.
I know a decent amount of Gorn. That shit's crazy.
It's by the guys that made Broforce. And
I did not know that part about it.
It's by Free Lives. And I'm going to make Jason Murphy play it because I kind of feel like it's the greatest game we have never played on Rage Select.
I hear it's amazing. Like every time I watch footage of it, it's just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Somebody did a mod to it where like he gave himself like super strength.
Yeah.
And he reenacted the sequence that All Might does in the first season.
Oh yeah.
Like he like jumps in the air and throws the guy down and shit and punches him in the sky. It's amazing.
Okay.
Oh, it's so good.
So there's that, and then also the Space Channel 5 VR that I feel like we knew was coming already.
Which I still think is kind of neat that they still use that kind of a very obscure.
I mean,
character.
if I got to dance around like Ulala in my living room, I'm all right with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Something a little bit different. So yeah, I actually haven't picked up my PSVR since I think from the Spider-Man, the Far From Home game.
Oh, that sounds right.
Well, which I couldn't figure out how to play and then got mad at.
You weren't spidery enough.
Yeah, that's true. Michael's favorite game of all time, MediEvil.
Yeah.
There's a demo out for it, and if you play it, you get the guy's hat.
Yeah, because that's he used to be a soldier, so he had a helmet. So apparently they decided to introduce the idea of being able to wear that helmet.
Yeah,
because that wasn't really a thing in any of the other games.
Okay, I mean, you think it's probably just cosmetic, right?
As far as I can tell, it's just a cosmetic thing.
Okay,
because they've added a lot of newer stuff. As far as I can tell, they've also made some of the animation's a lot more slick.
Yeah.
Stuff looks a lot nicer, that kind of thing. I'm really fucking excited for this game still.
Yeah.
Like, I loved MediEvil.
It's so weird. I never knew this about you.
I love that game.
I until we started talking about it, you were just like, it's one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm like, the skeleton one for the place? Okay.
Yeah, I own it still.
Right.
It's at my apartment, and the sequel.
Oh, my goodness.
I played the PSP version, but I have issues with the PSP's version story.
Okay.
Because it makes him more of a coward than the original one did.
Okay.
But that's a whole thing that I feel like we don't have time to get into.
I'm gonna cut you come over here one day and do like an internet deep dive on the lore of MediEvil and put it up and be like, why the PSP version of MediEvil is fucked up? Because that's what the internet
sucks. Yeah,
that's what the internet loves. Why the PSP spin-off of this game that I feel like. I mean, I know that it's not nobody played it, but it's not like a top tier number one.
I thought it would be.
Well,
but it's a whole thing. It's like it changes his origin in the PSP remake. So
it's like, hey guys, the DS version of that Maximo franchise is bad. Actually, I'll tell you what, the PSP version of the PSP Killzone game that they made,
I forgot about that.
Was actually really good. It was like a top-down shooter where you can get behind cover and stuff. You make your video, and I'm going to make my video about how like Killzone isn't quite as bad as people make it out to be, but
I know there was a Resistance game like that too, I think.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of resistance, you can resist getting taken over by an aggressive Gandhi in Civilization 6 on the PlayStation for pretty soon. I don't really... Do you Civ? Do you even Civ, bro?
I only watched videos of Gandhi losing his shit.
Okay. That's kind of where I am. I played Alpha Centauri years ago, but Civilization, the problem I have with Civilization is it is too much of a time suck.
Yeah, I'm not patient enough for it either.
Like, I complain about JRPGs, but, like, you could kind of just play... Like, my dad liked Civilization 3, and he still plays Civilization 3, like, today. And they fucked it, apparently... I don't know. You have to have him on this podcast. Apparently, they fucked it all up in 4, right? So I just stuck with 3. I got my map of the world, and it's got everything all laid out. And it's like, that's like a, it's like, what, a 15-year-old game?
It's pretty old.
Whatever.
There's that guy who kept the Civilization going for a long time, though. I think that's what that was, right?
People who play Civilization are weird. Yeah, Dad, I'm talking to you. Weirdo. Play something else. Play Call of Duty. Play Death Stranding on the new Death Stranding limited edition PS4 Pro bundle.
It's kind of neat looking.
Yep. It's got it's a white PS4 Pro with the handprints, with the BT's handprints, and then it's actually got the world map inside of the handprints, and then the controller is kind of yellow like the Bridge Baby goop, and then it's got Death Stranding on the touchpad. There's actually a really mean part where they first show it where the Bridge Baby is like inside of the controller, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool if it was just. I mean, it doesn't have to like.
I think I'd be creeped out by it, to be honest.
I'm not a psycho. It doesn't have to move around. It could just be like a little plastic Bridge Baby in there. But
yeah, but I can imagine a guy being like super out of it at 4 a.m. and then look down his controller and see that and just freak the fuck out.
How the hell is he holding it? His hand would be over the Bridge Baby the entire time.
No, but like it's one of those things where like you scratch his head or whatever, and he's still holding it in one hand. He's like, "Oh fuck, what is that?"
Well, that
just
guy
high as shit.
I'm not making controllers for that guy. That's an edge case if I've ever heard one.
That guy would totally be the one. I play Monster Hunter with that guy.
You don't even drink. Anyway,
I didn't say that. I just said I play Monster Hunter with that guy.
Oh, okay.
A guy who's just like that.
Well, you tell that guy to shut up because I want my Bridge Baby controller. In any case, we were talking about this before we started. I mean, this is fine. I guess even if I didn't have a PS4, I wouldn't want to buy this just because I like all my things to be uniform, and the yellow controller is nice, but I like my nice opaque black controller.
You would have to just not have a PS4 Pro yet to really buy one of these bundles, or just not have a PS4 in general.
I've never understood the idea. I've never really understood the idea because I know there are people out there that like, if there's one that they really want, will like trade in their existing console and then buy the one that's got the special whatever.
My cousin was really bad about it. He just bought the other one and just put it in another room.
Oh God!
He had because you remember the newer 360s?
Yeah.
He had the R2D2 one.
Okay.
The Halo Reach one, and then he had another one that was I don't even remember what it was for. But it was like another another like limited edition, and he had all 3 of them in like different rooms.
Jesus,
it's fucking a super waste of money.
I got my PS4 regular downstairs to run Hulu on, and that's all it does. Actually, you know, it's funny though. I really should sell that. Well, no, can't. I was gonna say I should sell that PS4 because that PS4 has a PT demo on it.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
But I think it's linked to my account. I don't think if you log in with another account and then like if I remove that account, like what does it do?
I don't actually know how that works anymore.
Maybe I could sell it. Maybe I'll sell it to somebody for $200 for be like, you want that PT demo?
No, we want that shit.
Well, speaking of spooky, scary, spooky stuff, Afterparty got another trailer. This is the launch trailer. We talked about this a little bit last week, but this is the from the makers of Oxenfree. You got to outdrink the devil at the bars of hell.
It's a great premise.
I really am looking forward to this a lot.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yep. Last week we I guess we got the release date. It was October 29th.
Yes.
So, but. Yeah, I mean, it looks really great. It looks fun. It looks funny. I'm a big fan of funny games. I feel like we don't get as many funny games anymore.
Not really. A lot. We have so many shooters that are like grim and shit.
Yeah.
That funny stuff, like actual funny games, aren't really all that as much as they used to be.
Like I got last week on Patreon, we ran out of videos, and so I did Jeff versus Beer versus Portal, and I'm like, oh, Portal's just amazing.
That's so good.
Like, because you and I were talking about it on the podcast last week a lot. It kind of got stuck in my head. And it's just like, there's only one person in that game. Chell has no lines. I mean, I guess the turrets maybe, but like GLaDOS is the only character in that entire game with any dialogue. And it's hilarious. Like, it's so dry and hilarious. And I just love it.
It's so good.
But speaking of grimdark, we ended with The Last of Us 2 release date reveal trailer. So you were saying, and somebody you just said it. It's also somebody on the Discord was talking about how, like, it seems like The Last of Us is just this horrible, grim, soul-crushing darkness. And I'm like, that was the first game.
No.
They've all been, it's not like, wait, what happened? This was a game about partying in hell, and now it's all this grim Ellie bullshit. And it's like, it was always grim Ellie bullshit. It was grim Ellie bullshit the entire time.
Yeah.
You remember that guy and his kid that you meet in Boston, and then he like tries to kill you, and you leave him behind, and he gets eaten by the clickers or whatever with his kid that made friends with Ellie? Like,
well, no, you just shoot them.
Or you just there's like a standoff with them.
Yeah, because what happens is that the kid got infected or whatever.
Oh,
and
right.
The brother was like. And so you're just like, well, I guess I got to murder them.
Yeah. I mean, because Joel is the worst. I know you guys don't like it when I say that, but he is. He's the worst.
Here's the thing. I still side with Joel's insanity.
Don't you? We're not getting into this again.
Because I think it's funny.
In any case, this new trailer showed us Ellie out in the world.
Well, it gave more motivation for what she's up to as well.
Yeah, it seems like her friend that she makes out with in that one trailer gets something happens. I mean,
murdered.
They don't actually show any of it, so it's possible that there's a lot of different things that could happen. Something bad happens. She's out on a mission for revenge against the people. I mean, we kind of saw some of that in that last E3 trailer. The one in the church.
Yeah, but
have one.
Not, like, it didn't really say outright like that it was a revenge thing, though.
Right, but there was like a weird
give the reason for the revenge thing.
I still don't think we know the reason for revenge. I mean, I think
we're closer to it than we've ever been, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, here's the thing.
The thing that I will say is that it's not so fun when people notice that you exist, Ellie.
Yes,
because that was the thing about the last game, is that like Ellie was just like a CPU that no one noticed existed, basically.
Right,
and that was frustrating.
Here's the thing. I really want Naughty Dog. I've reached the point with Naughty Dog where I'm like Kojima with Naughty Dog. I want Naughty Dog to go do something new.
I want them to make that Uncharted kart racer.
Nope.
That's what I want them to do.
I don't want them to make an
Uncharted Last of Us kart racer.
Yep, not me.
That'll be amazing.
Because they made Uncharted, and then they were forced to just keep making Uncharted games forever. And then it's like and then when they finally got some freedom, they went off and made The Last of Us, which you could make an argument is like maybe even better than Uncharted, right? And then it was like, but The Last of Us is now, The Last of Us is popular, so now you have to make a sequel to The Last of Us. And it's like, just let them go make something new, because they're good at doing that.
Yeah, because they made, prior to this, Uncharted 4.
Yep.
And it's just this, I guess, yeah. And that's really all they've done.
Well, they did the remasters of them all onto the PS4.
Yeah.
So it's Uncharted 3 on the PS3, and then the
3.
remasters onto the PS4, and then or The Last of Us, then the remasters, then Uncharted 4, and then this. And it's just, look, I know that people really like this franchise. I know there's plenty of people out there who want to see it. And to be honest, I mean, like, Naughty Dog doesn't make bad games.
No, they don't.
Right? It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. It's going to be compelling. I'm going to be all into it. This is not a Final Fantasy VII situation. It's just, they're so creative. I'd like to see them do new creative. And of all the things, I'm saying this just like I said it last time, of all the things that you could make a sequel to, The Last of Us really had a perfect ending.
It really does.
And
that's the reason I'm not interested in the sequel, because the ending of the first one is such a close of the book kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in it just because I know that it's going to be fun. Again, Naughty Dog don't make bad games. So,
yeah, they've never made a game I hated.
I was not like 100% invested in Uncharted 4, but then hey, you get into it.
I think the closest thing to you hating one of their games is Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah,
well, I think that's for you.
that's for me. Also, spoiler alert. Skip forward 30 seconds. Joel is in here,
and he's old.
And oh shit,
he's super duper old, even though he was already kind of old in the last one.
Yeah, well, he's probably not been taking care of himself.
He's got better hair now, though. Give him that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I definitely Last of Us 2. We also got a release date. It's coming out in what was it, like March? February 21st next year. I'm obviously gonna play it. Right? I'm obviously gonna play it.
I'll probably wait, to be honest.
Gonna get it. I'm gonna like it. It's fine. Also, they said they're not doing any multiplayer for it. Remember they had multiplayer in the first one?
Yeah, they came out with a release statement, or not release statement. They came out with a statement that said, we're gonna focus on the single player. If we decide to, we'll add a multiplayer later.
Yeah,
because they want to make sure the game is like quality.
Yep.
A lot of people lost their shit apparently, which I thought was weird.
A lot of people like Naughty Dog multiplayer. I mean, I played a little bit of it. It seems fun. Like
Uncharted 4 one was pretty good.
It had multiplayer. That was fine. But
I'm sure it's fine.
Yep. I'm a lot less. I mean, like, this game is going to get made, and I'm sure that it's going to be fine. Let me put it this way. I thought that Uncharted 4 was a bit of a stretch in that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like Uncharted 2 was where the Uncharted franchise peaked, and that 3 had the whole, like, Sully and Nate jump back in time, like our past is catching up to us kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Uncharted 4 was kind of, here's a brand new sibling you've never heard of.
It's a weird epilogue, is what 4 is.
The past is catching up with us. You know what I'd like to do if you haven't beaten Uncharted 4, then that's on you, bro.
It's been a while.
I'd like to see them
cheap.
If they did want to make more games, like they made the one that was the Nadine and Chloe Nadine one.
The spinoff.
But at the end of Uncharted 4, it's highly foreshadowed that it's going to be Drake's kid if they ever make more of them. Because the daughter, Drake and the boring one, what's her face? The blonde. Chloe's number one. Oh, Elena can blow me. Well, that's a little aggressive. I'm Team Chloe. Hashtag Chloe.
I'm Team Elena, so that's why I was sitting quiet. I just sort of stared at him.
Yeah,
I was just like, "Come on, dude, don't do this to me."
Chloe is voiced by Claudia Black. I'm in love with Claudia Black. There we go.
Elena is my bae.
No, but they have the daughter at the end, right?
Yeah,
the whole epilogue.
And then she discovers, that he's secretly, Superman or whatever.
Yeah. But honestly, I really wish that they would just go off and make something new. I mean, just do
they really should.
Else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, every time they came out, they keep coming up with new franchises, and eventually that's just going to happen again. And I'm just waiting for that day.
Right. I just want to start over. I mean, just something
because they went
not...
from Crash to Jack to Uncharted to Last of Us. I'm sure they'll come up with another eventually.
Probably on the next gen. Okay, so that was the Sony State of Play.
Call it Zax.
20 minutes, which I enjoyed. And then Microsoft had this insanely bloated, like, hour and 20-minute inside Xbox thing where they were, like, interviewing people and talking about stuff. We don't have time to really dig into this, and there wasn't anything that was, like, dramatic outside of they talked about Project xCloud, which is the streaming thing that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then they're doing a beta for it next month that you can sign up for on their website, where if you have a Bluetooth Xbox controller and a certain variety of cell phone with like 5G, then you can sign up for it. Or I'm sure you could sign up for it if you didn't, but I get the feeling they're going to be prioritizing those.
I also thought 5G still wasn't a thing, but okay, sure.
I think some T-Mobile has it, but
we'd have to look into it.
I don't know. Either that or maybe it was like 50 gigahertz Wi-Fi or something like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Something. There's some requirement I don't have where I was going to go sign up and I was just like, oh, well, my phone sucks and I don't have super fast Wi-Fi. I bought a Switch, like not a Nintendo Switch, like a network switch up here that's running everything in this room, and it's wired because I got tired of. I had one network cable up here, and then I would just move it from my computer to my Xbox. There was a few more things, and we'll run down this really fast. Atlas is coming to game preview. That's the that weird pirate game by the guys that made Ark. The Game Pass for the PC is getting Dirt Rally, Bad North, City Skylines, and Saints Row 4 reelected, which are all pretty solid. They talked a little bit about Children of Morta and Code Vein and Outer Worlds, and they had an interview with John Barenthal about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. They love to do this thing where they're just like, he's just like, yeah, let me tell you all about my character. He's like the best one, and then he killed everybody, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus, like, I'm already tired.
He's the sexiest guy alive. He's the best.
Yeah, they showed like the Hitman 2 Haven, like the briefing for it. They did a little bit on Felix the Reaper, which is that game where it's like the kind of big fat version of Death that looks very cute.
Oh, that's
kind of dancing around in the game, which is okay. They also talked about Afterparty, some Ace Combat 7 DLC that's coming out, and DayZ Livonia, where apparently there's a bear. There are bears now in DayZ.
That's weird, but okay.
So
neat, I guess.
Yeah. But there was nothing big in this one outside of the xCloud. Like they announced some new bundle Xboxes that have like Forza 4 in them instead of anything else. It was so weird because it was like, this reminded me of old school E3 where there was a bunch of like chipper hosts that were trying their best to be like, check this out. There's one point where they talked for 20 minutes about like the codes you get out of a Rockstar to unlock Dave Bautista in Gears 5, and I'm like, this is the most brosive thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, just from the clip that you just turned on, I saw the guy like randomly show his tattoo.
Yeah.
And then and then just like immediately put his sleeve down. I'm like, what was the point of that sequence?
It's kind of painful to watch.
It's on mute and it's still very painful to watch.
Also, it should be noted, Michael, that even though the PlayStation 1 wasn't there, I did watch these things live, and the entire chat for both the State of Play live and this Xbox Live that lasted for an hour was people typing the word Batman in all capital letters. Batman, Batman, Batman. Batman, Batman, Batman.
Because of I kept hearing about that Rocksteady thing.
Yeah, well, it's not Rocksteady. It's actually the team that made, or is it? No, this is the team that made, this Warner Brothers Montreal that made Batman Arkham Origins. And there was a big thing where they shined the bat symbol on the side of their building, and then in between there were like these flashes of screenshots that basically, it seems like they're leading up to a Court of Owls Batman Arkham game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kept hearing rumors of this, and then the guy who plays Batman in the Origins, Roger Craig Smith, he had tweeted out saying that he's excited that he's of something he's working on, but he's not allowed to say yet.
Yeah,
something like that. So people are waiting for it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's actually Court of Owls, but all I know is that like basically there's scuttlebutt. There's going to be another Batman game.
Yeah, and
considering the fact that Rocksteady apparently doesn't exist anymore because they've slipped into some kind of parallel game development universe where, or they're smart enough not to tell us anything so that everybody doesn't spend a million years, trying to get at them. But it appears that we're probably going to be seeing a new Batman game. It's the 80th anniversary.
Yeah,
it's the
80th anniversary. I think it already happened actually.
Yeah,
and but they had like Batman Day last Saturday. A whole bunch of like people celebrating that, which I think is kind of neat. But
in any case, we're probably getting a new Batman game, and we're probably going to hear about it. I don't know.
Pretty soon.
I think it'd be pretty soon. I don't think they'd be teasing like this unless they had something ready. You don't tease like this and then wait for E3 2020 to announce your Batman game.
They'll probably announce it sometime in October.
I would think so.
Spookiness or whatever.
Yeah. Which would be nice. You know, it'd be really nice is if they announced it and then they were like, and it's out next week or
that'd be funny
in November, you know, as opposed to we're going to announce it. And then
I'd laugh if they're like, oh, it's a Batman game. Psych, it's a super bad game. And I'd just laugh for like an hour.
It's a Nightwing game.
It's a Nightwing game.
Yeah. But he's wearing the 80s Nightwing outfit with like the gold lame.
And he's got the long ponytail.
Yep.
That'd be fucking funny.
So yeah. It was funny. It never ceases to amaze me when I watch a thing live on YouTube and the chat. Have you ever watched like the chat during like E3 on like their Twitch channel? It's the worst thing ever. It's just like, fuck this. Show me Batman. And it's like, they didn't say they were going to show Batman. It's like, fuck humanity. Batman. And it's like, guys, like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like, Call of Duty bros, but you know, what about Batman in any case? So yeah. But
so weird.
Maybe you've heard me say Batman a bunch and you need to play Batman right now. Maybe you need to play some Batman right this very second. Maybe you also own the game Fortnite.
Oh, God.
Well, now you can because Gotham City has been transported, part of it, into Fortnite. And so when you go in there, you turn into Batman. And then like they made it so that there's like infinite glider, like so you can redeploy the glider.
Yeah.
So you can go around. There's also the grapnel gun and batarangs.
I kept seeing this like pop up when I was watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It was like gameplay of it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's really weird. There's also Catwoman for the ladies. Not. Why don't they put Batwoman in there? Right? I thought they were pimping out the CW Batwoman. Or
I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of funny that it also still has a Dark Knight costume.
Yeah, the Christian Bale costume.
Like, even though that movie's like really old at this point.
How many Batmans have we had since then?
Oh, like at least two.
One? Well, Batfleck.
Well, yeah, because it's Batfleck, and then
no, that's it.
I guess whatever the show ones are. I guess
is he
show up at any
in
point?
Any of the shows?
Well, he's in the end of the Titan season.
Oh,
he's in the end of the Gotham show.
Oh, okay,
or whatever. But even then, still,
but
it's still strange to me that like that's the one they went with.
Also, I feel like the Dark Knight Batman costume like has not aged.
No, it has not actually. I was thinking about it. I was looking it over because I started playing Arkham Knight again because it was free for Plus.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, this suit does not look all that isn't interesting anymore.
Yeah, like I like this. I like the basic Batman they've got here. That's kind of like I don't know, just real basic. In any case, I watched some footage of people playing it, and what's funny is that it's like when you go into that city and you're Batman, and then you open a chest and there's a machine gun in there, you take the machine gun out and start shooting other people with it. It's like, you know, you guys did better with the Infinity War thing, but
having you be Batman and then get a gun is kind of icky.
Yeah,
it's kind of gross, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
John Wick really worked better.
It really did.
In any case,
you know. Okay. Yeah, it's just so fucking weird.
I'll still say that I think that it's great that Fortnite has not. I mean, like that. Oh no, it was DayZ. I forgot that wasn't even. What's that other battle royale that everybody doesn't like? PUBG.
Yeah,
not DayZ. PUBG. Like that Fortnite keeps doing stuff. Like here's Batman, here's the Avengers, here's John Wick, and PUBG is like, you can mantle. It's like, okay.
I remember at one point, like the everything in Fortnite was like all this batshit insane stuff. And they're like, you can climb over walls in PUBG. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
sure, you can jump, I guess. It's like, okay.
Speaking of PUBG, apparently there's a brand new. They're revamping their matchmaking system to try to get people in with other people with a better skill level, so that it tries to make sure that like when they put you into a game that they're not putting you into a game with fucking Ninja, because you're just like, well, that was fun. I got killed right away.
Yeah, I walked out and exploded.
Yep. And then along with that, apparently, if you suck hard enough, they're going to put bots in as well.
Oh, jeez.
Like apparently, if you're too bad, if you're far enough down the list, they literally will put AI opponents in with you. But their rationale for it is good. They're just like people need time to kind of like get used to the game and like have a fighting chance, right? So I don't know. I'm still not going to play it, but
good for you guys.
but it sounds good to me. From there, we're moving over to everybody else's favorite online game, Overwatch. Michael, do you remember? Was it like a month ago, where we talked about some guys in Counter-Strike Go in Australia that like threw a match for money, and that like the Australian government prosecuted them?
I don't remember being part of that one.
Okay, well, apparently, the thing I learned when I researched that story was that Australia loves to gamble. Like gambling is big in Australia. So this is a really interesting story, and it's scrolled down a little bit so Michael can't see the headline. But last week, apparently in Australia, the police in Australia were cracking down on an organized crime ring that was running one of the Overwatch leagues in Australia. Because apparently there's a vetting process in Australia for like running a sports team, because the betting is so important that they can't have dodgy people running like an organized team event. But because esports is so new, they don't have the same protection set up, and so apparently some organized crime people have like started an Overwatch league team in Australia, and then are like spreading it around to fucking Joey Two Fingers. They're like, the Falcons are gonna throw the match on Sunday, you should put in a big bet on it. This all happened last week, right?
What the fuck? This is real?
This is for real.
What the fuck?
Yeah. This is from a Polygon article. Police in Victoria, Australia's Sporting Integrity Intelligence Unit told ABC that betting anomalies were reported for an Australian Overwatch contenders team matches. Yeah, this totally happened.
What the fuck?
I want to move to Australia, where apparently organized crime has taken over Overwatch League. Oh, dude, you have to learn how to do like an Australian version of like the Italian mafioso accent from like movies and TV shows, and I can't do that.
Even fathom what that would sound like.
Australia. That's what that's that. Got it. Nailed it in one take, Jeff.
I'm gonna kill you with my didgeridoo.
Yep. Which is also very interesting because, Australia, like, they have this really conservative government, so they have a hard time rating games that are violent in Australia. So a lot of people in Australia have to import games, and it's really difficult. But apparently, it's fine to bet on everything all the time.
It's also fine for organized crimes to just be able to make fucking Overwatch leagues, apparently.
I also like the names of the teams from the Australian Overwatch Contenders event. Athletico, Ground Zero Gaming, Legacy Esports, the Melbourne Mavericks, Mind Freak G, Order, and Sydney Drop Bears. And the Warriors. So
that's so weird.
You get them Drop Bears.
Oh my god.
In Australia.
Fuck me, dude. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of games where you shoot people online a lot, we didn't touch on this because it needed a good segue transition. Part of that state of play was that Modern Warfare is going to have an exclusive PS4 mode called Special Ops. There's not a lot of details on it, but apparently it's going to be console exclusive for a year.
Yeah, Reddit is losing its fucking mind right now.
For a game that comes out every year.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I watched
they announced like a month before it comes out, by the way.
Right. I watch some. I like to keep up with some of the YouTube assholes that have like way more hits than we do, and it was just like I was watching one of them. Was just like, this is a disgrace. You've destroyed your credibility. I'm like, Activision had credibility?
Yeah, I don't know where you came from.
Like the last two the last two Call of Duty games have been just like loot box central.
Yeah.
Wait, what was last year's?
It
wasn't World War II.
World War II one.
Was it World War II?
If I remember correctly, yeah.
No. It was Black Ops 3.
Oh, wait. 4, wasn't it?
Black Ops 4, yeah. Black Ops 4.
With its weird story mode.
Yeah. No, there was no story.
No, that's what I'm talking about. It was the thing that we did the video on, and I came up with this like plot about pizza delivery or something.
Oh, right. Because it had the tutorial that seemed like it was part of a story mode that had been cut out of the game.
It was like a series of cutscenes that just sort of connected.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the deal. I don't know how anybody could still have faith that Activision is a good company that would do the right thing. Like, they're not EA, but they monetize everything.
All they do is lately. All they've done is re-release Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
Re-release Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
Yep.
And then monetize the Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, they haven't really been doing anything that would make you think they're not crazy.
They didn't take the loot boxes out of Call of Duty World War II.
No.
I mean, people got mad about it for a week, and then the Call of Duty people kept playing, and everybody else forgot about it.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time something's been exclusive to a console for a little bit.
The only thing I will say is that a year for a Call of Duty game is a bit much.
It's a lot. It's ridiculous.
Like, if you wanted to do, I mean, even as high as like 6 months, I could see that happening. But like, because it means that what Xbox and PC people are going to have to like wait for a year to play this mode, and by that time there's going to be another game out.
Pretty much, yeah.
So like, what the fuck?
People would have stopped playing by that point. A lot of people would have stopped playing.
Yeah. It's going to be strange. Here's the thing, though. As a person who's been watching and reading video game news for years, Michael, you and I both know that people get mad at Call of Duty for doing the thing, and then they go buy Call of Duty.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Right? Like, you remember how Modern Warfare was tied to the pre-order for Infinite Warfare for like 8 months, right? You couldn't buy it. You had to buy the $99 version of Infinite Warfare to get Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And then they added loot boxes into the multiplayer of Modern Warfare, the old one.
Did you have to buy the maps too?
I think they put out like DLC maps. They're scumbags, guys. Like, there's never been a question as to whether or not they're scumbags. Last year they were riding Overwatch's coattails with the hero shooter thing with the Black Ops 4. They went back to World War II as soon as sales flagged on Infinite Warfare, which Infinite Warfare was obviously them trying to cash in on Halo's success, right?
It was so fucking weird.
So I mean, like, they're not a stand-up, like, when I talk about how The Last of Us 2, how Naughty Dog like doesn't make bad games, like, Call of Duty is Call of Duty. They've been fucking you guys and me. I mean, I buy them too. They've been fucking us for years, right? Like, every year they make some change that nobody likes, and the next year they make a different change that nobody likes, and everybody got used to last year's change. They're constantly riding the coattails of other franchises, remonetizing, or trying just to bait on your nostalgia. This game isn't nostalgia. It
really is.
Captain Price. They're like, you remember how much you liked Modern Warfare? It's called Modern Warfare.
They're desperately trying to get your money.
So, like, on the one hand, I understand why people are upset. On the other hand, I don't understand why people are upset, because, like, you knew there was going to be some bullshit. Like, if you really want to send a message, the Call of Duty community needs to get the sales on this one down by like 30% on across all consoles.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens. You remember Modern Warfare 2 when they took away dedicated servers and then Steam was up in arms and then I'm not going to buy it, and then sold better than Modern Warfare when it came out.
Well, that's the thing. Like, every time the internet's like, I'm not going to do this, Borderlands 3 sold better on the Epic Store than it's ever sold on any of the other games.
Yep.
Like, you guys are like, oh, we're not going to buy it. It's like, well, it sold way more than they thought it was going to, so you did nothing.
Yep.
So hooray for you guys.
Yep. Speaking of hooray and World War II, Oculus is bringing back Medal of Honor as a VR game.
Yeah.
Where you're in World War II. I mean, it looks like it's just a bunch of like kind of set pieces, right?
Yeah.
You're going to kind of go through where there's going to be some like, there's some exploration, there's some shooting. They show like 2 or 3 times catching a grenade and throwing it back in midair.
Or shooting a grenade in midair.
Shooting a grenade out of midair.
Really excited about that.
I mean, it doesn't look bad, but the problem with this is that since it's on Oculus, it'll be exclusive to Oculus.
Yeah.
I don't have an Oculus Rift. I
don't know anyone who does, to be honest.
I mean, apparently Respawn is helping him out, and I'm a big old fan of Respawn, so maybe it'll be fine, but I don't know. It also just kind of looks a little bland. Like, there's a lot of environments, but they're kind of lower resolution, and then there's not a lot of people in the game. There's just like sparse characters you're either shooting or talking to.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And there's music though. Look at all the music or whatever.
There's also this guy with a gigantic afro.
So weird. Giant forehead though, which makes it that much weirder.
One of the developers, I would say not in the game. It's not like there's a Nazi with a giant afro. Like,
That would make me.
I have Afro Nazi.
Maybe he's like the bad guy or something. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but apparently they're putting a lot of money into this, and it's like, oh, do you want us to forget about Medal of Honor Modern Warfare?
Oh my god, that was a clusterfuck
with the operators, tier 1 operators. In any case, I don't know. Like, are we back to nostalgia for World War II? I feel like we used it up there, and then it went away, and
I don't
now
know. Because there's been a few World War II shooters that got kind of popular again,
like Wolfenstein. I mean, even though Wolfenstein is not World War II,
well, there's like an online game that's apparently like this kind of World War II-ish that started.
Like War Thunder or
something like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing like some people play it. And then the World War II stuff that came out not too long ago.
Yeah,
like some people, it seems to be turning back around a little bit.
Oh man, I really hope it doesn't turn all the way back around. I was really happy when we were not just rehashing this again and again and again and again and again.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of Titanic clusterfucks, let's talk about Fallout 76.
Oh, jeez. What did they do this time?
Actually, they've done some good stuff.
Really?
Well,
I don't believe you.
They've done some good stuff, and then there's another story that has been blown out of proportion, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Sure.
So apparently, you know what? This story made me realize that Fallout 76 was released when it was an alpha. Fallout 76 is getting a public test server. They don't have one where they can like push updates to make sure they don't break everything.
Oh my god!
For a week before and let people play them. So they're getting a PTS. Also, apparently they're getting like perk loadouts because you know how you can set the perks on the special in there, and you can like save a loadout and then like switch between different loadouts. It's like all of this should have been in your game, and like this game's been out for a year.
Well, for a long time.
Like, are you kidding me? So. In any case, if you're still playing Fallout 76, good news.
It reminds me of what happened with Destiny. You remember when Taken King finally came out? It was like, oh, you made a game.
Yeah, but even Destiny, when it first came out, was at least like mechanically solid.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
They had problems with story, but it was mechanically solid. But like this article, I'm reading this off of VG247, that they're talking about. You remember the Wastelanders trailer?
Yeah.
From was that E3 where they're just like, now we're putting NPCs in, and it's like, fuck you guys, you just made the map and released the game early. Like I feel like they didn't get to feature complete. They did like 20% of their roadmap for feature complete, and they just like cut it off, polished it, quotey fingers polished it, and put it out because the longer time goes on, it's like, hey, they've got a PTR. Hey, they're going to be putting NPCs in the game. Hey, they're going to be making have loadout slots. It's like, hey, man, 3 more years, this is going to be an actual Fallout game, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. That was the joke I think I made it when E3 that trailer came out. I was like, oh, you guys, you put a Fallout game in your Fallout game finally. And so what the fuck?
I feel like first they're going to put NPCs, and they're going to have their quest line, and then they're going to announce like a roadmap with a big quest line, like a main quest line, and then eventually it's going to
single player mode. It's going to be amazing.
And then it's like, and then eventually you're just going to play it offline. And while you're playing it offline, you can wear your gigantic Fallout 76 pre-order helmet, but don't wear the one from GameFly. That was the Nuka-Cola branded one, because last week the Consumer Protection Agency put out a thing saying that these things are probably full of black mold.
Oh, God.
Not the helmet itself, but there's like a cowl that goes underneath it that apparently they were stored improperly before they were shipped, and they probably have black mold in them. And if you're young or old and you breathe in a bunch of black mold spores, it can kill you.
Oh, jeez.
So, you know, to all the nanas listening, take off the Nuka-Cola helmet, Nana, and go see the doctor. Don't wear it. Now, the flip side of this story, they made a big deal out of this, but I also saw a story today where they said that like they manufactured 20,000 of these helmets, and literally like 30 of them were like ever cashed in on, because it was like a GameStop pre-order collector's edition exclusive, and apparently a lot of people just didn't do that. So
makes sense because no one gave a shit about it after a while.
But yeah. Black mold in your Fallout helmet. So apparently the silver one, unaffected, but this red and white Nuka-Cola one, which is kind of ugly, was affected.
It looks like a Zaku.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's see. Speaking of terrible ideas executed poorly, Google launched an Android subscription service.
Oh God!
Kind of like the Apple one, but it's there's no such thing as like a Google TV, so it's just for the phone. It's $5 a month, and it basically gets you ad-free versions of a bunch of different games that are on their list. Like they've got Reigns, Game of Thrones, like Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic is on there.
That's weird.
Evoland, Limbo, Bridge Constructor Portal, Terraria, Titan Quest. Like, there's some pretty good stuff on here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't game on my phone because I've got a Switch and I live at home and I work at home and I don't need to take games with me. But
yeah, I don't really game all that much on my phone either. Like, I have 2 Dragon Ball games on my phone.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't play them that often anymore.
Also, I don't know if by the time you listen to this, it's still going on, but there's a limited time offer where if you sign up for a year, they'll give it to you for $1.99 a month for the first year.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I don't really play games on my phone all that much, but apparently everybody is super into this new Mario Kart because that came out this week.
Yes.
Mario Kart on your phone. And it's apparently like free to start, but there's like a $5 a month subscription fee. So, you could get all those games that I just listed off or a month of Mario Kart.
Or just buy Mario Kart. That would be, much better.
I think that is how you buy it.
No, I mean like just buy Mario Kart 8 or fucking buy
like a Switch?
A Switch with
or
it.
like a 2DS.
Literally anything that had a Mario Kart game on it.
Yeah.
That will not charge you a subscription fee. Because fuck phone games, to be honest.
It seems really weird. I mean, it just seems really strange. I don't know. I guess I saw that like it was like Toadette was like trending on Twitter, and everybody was posting pictures of her in Mario Kart. And I was like, oh, they had a DLC character in Mario Kart 8. And no, it was this. I'm definitely not going to play this. I'd actually be interested to know.
Apparently, it's fairly fun though.
I mean, like I played the Fire Emblem one. It was okay. It's just it's $5 a month, but then they also have the weird like gachapon loot box thing where you have to unlock new racers and carts and stuff.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And it's like, well, if I'm paying, then that's the deal, guys. Is either I don't pay and then you try to entice me, or I do pay and you don't entice me. But
I'm sure it's fine.
I don't know. My phone sucks. It's cracked. It's a grayscale. It's old and it's shitty, so I can't play anyway. Let's see. A couple more things here. If you wanted to buy some of those Sherlock Holmes games, you remember the Sherlock Holmes games?
Yes.
Apparently you can't anymore because the company that made them is...
Well, by now you can't because apparently they're there till the 29th.
One of them is there till the 29th.
Okay.
A bunch of them have already been delisted.
Oh, okay.
They're all still on Steam, although they could go away. But the company that made them is called Frogwares, and they were published through Focus Home Interactive. And apparently, once their contract was up with Focus Home Interactive, Focus just delisted all their games. And then they told them in a statement that basically, like, their new policy is that, like, if you aren't with them as a publisher, then they won't even, like... If you leave them as a publisher, they basically will do this. They will delist any games that you publish through them, which is a bunch of garbage, especially for smaller companies that can't afford to like recertify all their games. And I don't even know if they can.
I was reading through a story that I found of it because somebody sent it to me before I left work.
Right.
And they were saying that like the title IDs or whatever for the listings.
Yeah.
They kept asking for them because the people themselves own the IPs for it.
Right.
But they're just like, no, our new policy says we just can't give them to you. We don't have to give them to you.
See, I don't know what a title ID is. Like,
apparently it's a specific... it's the way you register it.
It's
or
the
whatever.
listing for it on like the store.
You can give it to them, and then they'll just relist it using that same title ID. And otherwise, they have to recertify and get a new one.
Release like a new game,
but it would take a long time, and they'd lose their wish list standings as well. Apparently, that's part of it. And which
also,
is super shitty.
It costs money. Like every time you go to recertify, it costs money. So,
and they're saying there was no mention of anything like it in their contracts or something. Apparently, they were going through them because it's really shitty because it was such a small time frame. Apparently,
yeah,
just so fucked.
Yep. So boo Boo, Focus Interactive.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I stand up for you motherfuckers, but yeah, that's just like it's just so spiteful, right? Like, doesn't have anything to do with business. It's just like, well, fuck you then.
It's so weird. So strange.
But not fuck you comes in the form this week of the Kombat cast, where they announced a new mode for Mortal Kombat that's like a co-op mode where 3 people fight at the same time against one of those big like beefy boss characters. But it's like all 3 people are fighting on different systems. So it's like I'm fighting this like a character. It's like you and me and another person are all having a fight with the same character on our own systems, but then that character has one shared health bar between our 3 systems.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then there's like stuff that you can do where if all 3 people in the group manage to do a specific thing at a specific time and like weaken the boss. Yeah, it's kind of a weird mode, like a weird co-op mode.
So they're all playing at the same time, like literally at the same time?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting, actually.
Because they had that thing before where it was like you would play online where you would tag team one really powerful boss.
Because Dragon Ball FighterZ has a thing where it's like, it's a tag team thing where one person is each person. But if you're all fighting them at the same time, that's way cooler, I think.
Yeah, it seems really interesting. So, stuff's still going on with Mortal Kombat 11.
That's
awesome. Trailers. We got a new trailer for just Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is like a story trailer. I'm really excited for this game.
The more they show, the more interested I am.
Yeah,
because I recognize the two bad guys that they show are from the Darth Vader comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like the Inquisitor people that he helps every now and then.
Okay.
The giant dude. I forgot their names though, but like, they're really interesting that they're using them outside of those comics.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks really good, and I like the idea of a Metroidvania style game, and it's been so long. I mean, honestly, Michael, outside of Battlefront 2's story mode, what was the last single player?
I'd have to say it's The Force Unleashed.
Connect, I believe.
Well, I don't even think that had a story, did it?
There was a weird lightsaber mode, I think, that had a story, but yeah, probably Force Unleashed 2 would be the last one.
Think of, yeah.
But I think that everything I'm seeing here looks good. I like the bad guys. I like the fact that so far we haven't had any part of the trailer that's been like, and then Luke Skywalker shows up.
Han Solo was like, I have a beard now. And
right.
Everybody was weirded out.
Or like, I like the characters. I like the kind of little crew they've got.
There's one character in it though. I know that's from Rogue One at least, and the Clone Wars.
Really?
Yeah. The soldier dude, the black guy.
Saul Guerrero.
Yeah, he's in it. That much I know. But as far as I know, he's the only one that has shown up outside of that's been in a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it looks. What's funny is that how EA wants everybody to make every one of their games on the Frostbite engine. I think this looks better than their Frostbite games. Like, it looks smoother.
It looks really nice.
Just like so I don't know. I'm really excited. Like, this is the Cal's Mission trailer. It's supposed to be out in November, right?
It's really soon.
Like,
it's like shocking how soon this actually is, because I feel like it wasn't even announced that long ago.
Yeah. Well, it was announced. It was announced last year when Vince Zampella was sitting in the audience with a Star Wars hat on.
Oh, yeah.
And they went out and asked him about it. He said, I can tell you that it's about Jedis, and that's kind of it. And it just had a Fallen Order.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And then they went back to that lady with her plastic dress, who's the main character from Battlefront 2. And she's out there geeking out about Star Wars.
I forgot about that.
Oh, man, this is going to be the greatest Star Wars game you've ever played.
It's going to be about the Empire for 20 seconds. It's going to be great.
For like 4 missions, and it's dumb. You know what? We're over time, so I'm going to skip a few of these or run through them pretty fast. There's a Doctor Who VR game, Doctor Who: The Edge of Time. Kind of looks like garbage. I mean, I don't know. It looks
like
a
Spider-Man game title, you sick bastards.
It looks like a Doctor Who game, but like, why can't we have a? It's like I was watching it, and the same question came up as like, why has there never been the super good, super AAA Star Trek game that we all have played? And it's like, this is the same thing where Doctor Who, they put out like visual novels, and the last one I think was like a match 3 game with a motion comic attached to it.
Yeah, that's right.
And this one's a VR game, and it's like, why can't you guys just make a Doctor Who game? You know, make one.
It might just be one of those things that like the fan base probably just isn't big enough for them to consider that.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like you could do what they did with John Wick Hex, right?
Oh yeah.
Find like an indie developer that is interested in Doctor Who. Like, go find a Mike Bithell that isn't doing anything or is in the middle of a different game and be like, we want you to make a Doctor Who game. You're a known quantity. You're a good name. And you know what? What's Ken Levine working on right now? Oh, no, wait, don't give it to Ken Levine.
Yeah,
he'll go 8 years over budget. He was supposed to be making that other weird game where they fired like 80% of the staff. And he kept,
yeah, that's right.
Kept some of them.
I don't remember what it was called anymore.
I don't think it ever had a title. It was a concept only, but
yeah, I don't remember. I think he had a title, but eventually, but I don't know.
You could find a developer, like maybe like the guy that made like the Outer Wilds, right?
Yeah.
Like, find somebody that's good, or like the Stanley Parable people would be like,
oh yeah, that would
do you guys want to make a Doctor Who game? Because this just looks like a bunch of puzzles. Yeah, a bunch of VR hand puzzles, and it's like, drive a Dalek.
Touch machines and such.
Yeah. Michael, do you want to do a Tide 5 on Dragon Ball Z Go-Getta?
Gogeta.
Go-Getta. That's what it obviously says, Go-Getta. You got to go get.
That's how you say it in Spanish, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I am not offended.
What is with their touching the tips of their fingers together?
So the fusion dance is a dance you have to do to then fuse for 30 minutes.
What have I done?
And so once you fuse for 30 minutes, you can become an ultra powerful warrior, and they're the two strongest people in basically the universe. So their fusion is strong as hell. Okay. And so they introduced they announced these guys a long time ago. It's based on the Brawley movie, so a lot of the attacks are from the movie itself. Okay. With a couple that aren't, like the Big Bang Kamehameha is not in the movie, and a couple other ones that clearly references other things that they've done in the movies. Okay. But it's really exciting. It came out yesterday, from when we're recording at least.
Oh, okay. So it's already out.
It came out yesterday. I think especially for the people who have the pass, I think it's early access kind of thing. Okay. And then his win thing is the combination of two things: his first appearance movie and then the second movie, which I think is kind of funny. But I'm really excited because that means that Brawley will be shown maybe eventually. So let's see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's the past two apparently ends with Brawley. And then I was actually showing the bad part of this. They showed that they're doing a kind of interesting thing where, like, for a limited amount of time, you can play the DLC characters even if you don't have the DLC. Yeah. So they're just going to be releasing them like a couple at a time, just to give people the ability to just kind of like check them out.
It gives a lot of incentive to the idea of like, hey, if you guys really want to buy these guys, you could. Because the Killer Instinct game kind of did stuff like that. Yeah. Where it's like free trial time frames. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Oh, Dragon Ball. No, thank you.
Very excited.
All right, let's just move on. Finish up here. Rage 2 has an expansion that came out this week. By the time you hear this, it'll already be out. It's a $15. It's Rise of the Ghosts. Looks okay. I'm playing Borderlands 3, and I was like, "Oh man, this sucks." Or it was so monotonous, and I was like, at least in Rage 2, you had superpowers. You could like blow people up into the air.
But you got your mech or whatever. I didn't really pay attention to it.
Yeah, but the mech is just like two bigger guns than the guns that I normally have.
They're your guns.
They're the guns. Yeah. Also, for those of you wondering if there's ever going to be any single player DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2, no. I don't know how this was a question, but apparently there was an interview where they asked them and they said, nope, we're just dealing with the online. But good news for people that own a PC, because the Australian Ratings Board classified Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PC, which means it's probably only a matter of time now until
modded as fuck.
Yeah. I'm really hoping
Can't wait till you can pull out a lightsaber.
You know what I'm hoping for, Michael? All the assets are in there except for the Mexico assets to remake Red Dead 1.
Oh, yeah.
You could just take all the audio, rip all the audio out of Red Dead 1, and then you'd have to remake some characters, right? But you got Dutch, you got Arthur, or you got Dutch and you got John, right?
And yeah, you got, what's his name? I forgot his name because he wasn't all that important.
Oh, well, they're Bill Williamson and Javier.
Javier.
Yeah, you've got all those characters. And Mexico is there, it's empty. So you would have to fill it up. and then it's like from there, I don't know. You've got like maybe 50% of what you need to just do that, because my dream has always been that the DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2 would be Red Dead Redemption 1, and that it would just be like from the end of Red Dead Redemption 2, you just play Red Dead Redemption 1.
That would be great, actually. I would love that, because I still really like John Marston's entire story.
Yeah. So there's that. Speaking of Part 2 open world games, there's been some classifications that make it seem like Mafia 2 might be getting a remaster.
Oh.
There's basically 2 trademarks for the Mafia games, which a lot of people are interpreting to be a remaster of Mafia 2 and then maybe Mafia 4 getting made.
Oh, okay.
Nobody knows just yet, but we probably have a little bit more Mafia in the future. And then last but not least, how about a pair of Hideo Kojima stories? Death Stranding is quote-unquote gold.
Yeah.
Death Stranding went gold. It's on its way. So we know that. I want
them copies.
I want this gold CD. I want the gold master disc of Death Stranding. I want it. I want to snatch it out of his hand. Give it to me. Give it to me. But that means it's getting manufactured. And so maybe somebody will break a street date and I could drive to Minnesota to get a copy 3 days early.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then finally, that same guy that's been doing the thing where he's been looking around in PT has released another video showing some more kind of like secrets of stuff that if you kind of hack into PT, like apparently the big one is that like there's a person looking through the door at the very beginning, but they close the door and you can't see who it is. And apparently it's Lisa on the other side.
Oh, okay.
The bathtub has 2 states in the game. There's one that's empty and one that's full, but apparently there's a third state that was never used where it's like decapitated Lisa corpse in the bathtub.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's never used. It's interesting. I mean, I highly recommend anybody that's interested in PT go do that. Or maybe you give me $400 for my PlayStation 4 with the PT already downloaded. I mean, I can't give it to you for $400 if you have to take my PlayStation account as well, because my PlayStation account has like $250, $60 games on it.
It's worth a lot.
Like, yeah. Anyway, that's the end of part 1. We only went 10 minutes over. I'm so proud of everybody involved. I'm proud of you, Michael. I'm proud of the listener. I'm proud of the guy that hacked PT. Proud of Hideo Kojima. I'm very proud. I'm a proud father of all the internet today. In that case, we're going to take a proud break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to answer some questions, so stay around. And Michael, it is time for questions. Are you ready to answer all the questions in the world?
Sure.
I promise there are none about sandwiches this week.
You sure?
No.
None about troubleshooting?
I'm pretty sure that none of them. MailRaceSite.com is the email address to send in your sandwich questions. And the first question this week comes in from Seymour, who says, dear Jeff and Michael, we know that video games make for terrible movies, and the same is true the other way around. I know you're an avid book reader, so I'd like to put a spin on the age-old question: what books would make for an awesome video game? And have you read a book based on a video game that was not just a quick cash grab? Hashtag keep the rage alive. Cheers, and that's from Seymour. Let's see. Michael, have you ever read a book based on a video game that was not a cash grab?
Well, I feel like the Halo books weren't very cash grab because they were all very intricate.
Yeah.
I read the Halo Reach one. Halo Flood was a retelling of Halo 1 through like different people's
from the Flood's
point
perspective.
Of views. Well, no. Amazingly enough, no, actually. Although sometimes there was, actually.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those things where it would go from like Marine to like maybe Captain Keyes, maybe a different person. Sometimes the Master Chief's head, Cortana's head, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, like, those books were really solid, actually, legitimately.
Okay.
They're all really good. I read the Metal Gear Solid novelization. Man, was that bad.
Are you talking... Oh, Metal Gear Solid novelization. Okay. See, okay, I was actually thinking back to the old days where there used to be... What were they called? It was like Books of Power or like Worlds of Power or like... They used to make these books and they were like, oh, God, I gotta know what they are
familiar.
now. Like, they were video game novelizations. And they were for NES games.
Okay.
novelizations. What is it called? Of Power. It was something of Power. It was Worlds of Power. Yeah. And I had. It's funny because you talk about the Metal Gear Solid novelization.
Yeah.
I read the Metal Gear novelization. These are like 90-page like pulp children's books that were novelizations of video games. And I remember I read the one for Metal Gear and it was pretty violent. Like I mean, it was like just very gritty because Metal Gear is all about like sneaking and stuff. And so a lot of it was just, I ate this ration. It was so old. It was so gross and blah, blah, blah. And then I remember I read that one and I read the one for Bionic Commando, which was also really strange. These were definite cash grabs. I haven't actually looked back on them, but like, what do we got? There's a Shadowgate one, Mega Man 2. I think I read the Blaster Master one as well. In fact, I think I read the Simon's Quest one as well.
Oh, neat. That's neat. Yeah. I think I heard of these once, and I don't think I've ever seen any of them.
The thing that I really liked about them was Gary and Cole over on the Watch Out for Fireballs podcast.
Uh-huh.
Gary did a Kickstarter a couple years back to write one of these about a fictional video game, and he made a book called, and it was about a game called Atomic that was like Fallout. No, that was the second one. The first one was actually a Dark Souls Worlds of Power. It was about a fictitious NES game that was like a Dark Souls style game. And then what they did is he wrote this book and then they did an episode of their show where they reviewed this fictitious game.
Oh, wow.
Like they do their normal show where they go through a game, right?
Yeah.
And so they did it, but they did it about, what was it called? And it was amazing because they basically it was about a fictitious game on a fictitious gaming system, but they had Gary's so detail oriented. He like worked out all the things and so it was like they were talking about it as like a gaming system that was like, after the NES came out, there was this other company that made this other system, and then one of the big games for that system was this Dark Souls game that was obviously has been. And then he would talk about how like there was a sequel for that on this fictitious PlayStation. It was a whole thing.
That's amazing.
And then he made a second one for a game called Atomic that was Fallout, basically.
That one I heard about actually.
And it was really interesting. It's called the Power Worlds. So yeah, they made this Fallout one, and then of course they did another episode because one of their stretch goals was if we hit this amount, then we will do an episode on this fake video game. And they talked for an hour about all the systems and all the good stuff, and then there was the bad stuff. And like, this was a really ambitious game that had this AI, but then it made all the battles run really long, and
that's amazing.
That's a problem. That's I think that's pretty fun personally.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because that's a lot of work to create something like that.
Yeah. So they even wrote a FAQ. They had somebody write a game FAQ for their fictitious game.
My God.
Audiobook, narrated. It's pretty funny. Souls of Darkness was the first one, and somebody even made a mock-up of an LCD, like the old Tiger Games version of their game. So it's really interesting and really fun. Personally, I think that I don't think I've ever read a video game novelization because
they're much rarer now at a certain point.
Yeah. I don't even know what's out there. I mean, I know there's like some extended universe stuff. There's also comics, right? There was like a bunch of Assassin's Creed.
There's a lot of them. There's
Dead Space.
There's some Assassin's Creed ones, some Dead Space ones. There's some Mega Man ones that retell the stories of the Mega Man games.
Yeah.
And they make them like kind of dark kind of thing on accident.
Yeah.
Like they're actually really good. They ended up doing a weird Mega Man Sonic crossover with those actually.
I think the closest thing that I've got to a book based on a video game that was not just a quick cash grab was that Bloodborne.
Oh yeah, the Bloodborne
comic that I read that was pretty good.
They're still, I think it's still being made right now actually, last I checked.
Oh, I just read like the one trade.
They're really good. So I really liked it.
As far as books that I read that could be made into video games, oh shit, all of them. I mean, all I read are Captain Spaceman and the Space doing space. So like there's the tactical ones, which you could totally make a homeworld game based off. I just got done reading the latest in the Undying Mercenaries series, which is a thing that I've talked about a lot, where it's like every planet in the universe exports one thing to like galactic civilization, and they're required to only, so like one planet makes cars, and everybody in the universe buys their cars from this one planet, their space cars. And then so Earth gets brought into this organization, and the thing that they decide to export is mercenaries. So it's people from Earth going to fight in alien wars. But the thing is that the aliens have this technology where you have a computer that's like built into your arm that's like powered by your body, and it's recording your brain engrams all the time, and when you die it just uploads it to a server, and then they just basically 3D print out a new one of you, and then you just go out. So it's an interesting book where the main character has died just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and then they just print it back out. And then there's a lot of stuff like in the very first book, I was telling somebody about this, I was describing this on another show. In the very first book, like there's a point where he's like the last guy left from his squad on a planet, and his commanding officer is like, "Oh, are you still alive?" And he's like, yeah, I need you to send somebody down to get me. And he's like, "Okay, just stay where you are." And he just drops a bomb on him and then prints out a new version because it's less costly than sending a shuttle to get him.
That's amazing.
I think that would make a great video game, right? Because it's already got respawning built into
it absolutely would.
The concept. And then it's also got a lot of like that series takes place on different worlds, so every one is on a different world with a different set of space marines doing different things. So I think that would be fine. I mean, a lot of the books that I read are great, but like, you know, if it was a space combat game, but then it also had diplomacy, and then it also had research, and then it also had like a evolving world, and it also had like a tactical marine simulator it built into it. Like there's too many for one thing. But Undying Mercenaries would be fine because it's all just about mercs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's probably a few other ones out there. I'm reading the latest in the quote unquote lost, not quote unquote, they're called the Lost Starship series. That's by this guy named Von Hepner, and it's like, this is the most cheeseball, like Captain Maddox of Star Watch. He's an international operative, and he's out there fighting the new men, the golden skinned menace from the nebula. This is all in the book. I'm not making any of this up. Like,
okay, then I couldn't tell at first.
They all wear silver jumpsuits, and they're like these genetically engineered Supermen, and they hate the regular men. And like, the swarm has come from the other side of the universe to conquer. Will Captain Maddox be able to convince the new men to come over to Star Watch's side to defeat the evil swarm? And it's like,
I think you just explained Halo. Halo 1 and 2 is what you just said.
This guy Von Hepner, he really likes to write things where the evil shit in space is like just bad stuff from our shared mythology. Like the antagonist of the last book was an ancient Cthulhu that was on a planet that had been like projecting insanity into the universe, and they had to go fight him. And like at the very beginning of this new book, the first thing that Cthulhu does as they're destroying the planet that it lives in is he goes to the hallucination projector and sends out E7 radiation to reprogram the minds of certain people in the universe. Von Hepner is a crazy man, and every one of his...
That sounds amazing, though.
Every one of his books is like Captain Space Pants out there doing stuff, and like I can totally see a video game where you just having to mow down guys as Captain Space Pants and doing stuff. So, I mean, most of the books I read are some variant on Captain Space Pants and his space armada. There was one that was called the Dauntless or Blackjack, one of them where it was all about... it was like... These two factions in the universe have been at space war, and they've been at war for 100 years. And so like they've literally forgotten how to do anything with finesse. So all they do is basically build gigantic fleets and then just smash them the fuck into each other and see who comes out on top. And they find this guy in a cryopod, and they unfreeze him, and he's hundreds of years old. And he came from a time when they used to do like finesse in their battle tactics. Yeah. So he's like a wizard because he like lures people into traps and like does maneuvers that nobody's thought of before. And it's like, you could totally make a space combat game that was
That'd
about
be pretty
that.
Cool. It's kind of like the Dragon Quest builders where people can't build anymore.
Right. Or there's another one, not Vaughn. Hepner, but God, who's that other guy? There's this other franchise that's based on it's another space thing, but like a lot of what goes on in that is about space fighters fighting each other. Like there's capital ships, but like a lot of the main characters are fighter jocks, and so I feel like you can totally make a Wing Commander game out of that. But that's not that. I don't I don't read that many things that are not about spaceman shooting each other with space lasers. So.
That's fine. I don't read as much as I used to. The last thing I really remember reading all the way through was the Dexter novels.
Oh yeah,
I think those would make a decent game, only because it's
Telltale game. Dexter Telltale game.
Well, no, because you can make it kind of like Hitman, kind of thing, except that you would have to like make sure you're going to kill the right person, kind of thing.
Okay,
because that's the whole thing about the books. Yeah,
like Hitman meets Minesweeper.
Kind of, actually. That's kind of what you would be kind of doing with it. Yeah.
Okay. So where the target is not super flamboyant, you don't know exactly who they are. You got to just find the person.
Yeah, because the thing about the Dexter novels is he's super, super intense about who he's going to kill. Because the thing about the show is that he's always like, here's my next guy. Then he murders them like every week.
Right.
Whereas in the books, he's like, it takes months of him trying to figure out who's a good guy to kill. Because he wants to be like 100% certain this dude is guilty as fuck.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I don't kill someone who's innocent. And I actually really like that about the book version of him a lot. And you could do something very Hitman-y with that sort of idea.
You know what'd be really cool is like if you did make a Telltale style game or like an adventure game out of Sea of Rust.
Oh yeah,
Cargill's book, where it's like after the robot apocalypse, so all that's left is robots.
Yeah,
that was a really good book.
I heard it was really, really good.
Everybody should read it.
Also, I think Jason's the Black Coat
Motorcycle Club
would make it pretty decent, kind of adventure-y kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah, I could definitely see that. Did you read that one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good too.
I read it while I was eating, and I was like, "This was a bad idea."
Let's see. Ryan writes in and says, Dear Jeff and Michael, lately I've been feeling nostalgic for some of the games I played when I was younger. Some have been easier than others to get on various systems, but the one I'm having the most trouble with is older PC games like Command & Conquer and The Sims. Nowadays, both of them are exclusively on Origin, so I'm hesitant to give them money since EA is a greedy company. What do you think? Is it worth giving EA money for the sake of nostalgia? Thanks in advance, and best of luck for Rage Select, and that's from Ryan. I feel like we're going back to the Call of Duty thing that we were talking about before. Yeah. It's an interesting question. It just depends on how strongly you feel about it, right?
It really comes down to that. And also, your thoughts on piracy is also the other thing.
Yeah.
Because there are some games that are really old that are hard to get other than piracy.
Yep.
Like, and that's one of those things where it's like if you feel really strongly against it, piracy isn't that bad of an idea on it, only because it's not like you're doing it for all the new games. Like older games, I feel perfectly fine with the idea of piracy, to be honest.
If they're not available.
Yeah, especially if they're not available, or they're available but they're really hard to get, or you just have like a sort of issue with where they are kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, like a lot of the Ninja Turtle games, I love a lot of those games, but it's really, really difficult to buy those now. Like they like the arcade version and the Turtles in Time arcade version. Those are like nigh impossible to get right now, and they're re-releasing it in an arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course you're gonna have to pirate it because there's no good way of getting them right now.
I don't know, man. Here is Command and Conquer the Ultimate Collection on Amazon for $14. This would be what all games are in here. It says let's see, blah 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 blah. God, it really doesn't even say what games are in the package. The other thing that you could do. Okay, so yeah, Command and Conquer, Red Alert, Tiberian Sun, Red Alert 2, Renegade. Oh, Renegade! Forgot about that game.
Yeah, everybody did.
Generals and 0 Hour, Command & Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars, Kane's Wrath, Red Alert 3, Red Alert 3 Uprising, and Command & Conquer 4, Tiberian Twilight. That's all of them, as near as I could tell, right?
Yeah, I'm looking up The Sims right now.
And that's $15 on Amazon, and that's obviously from a reseller, so you wouldn't be giving your money to EA. Like it's like probably a boxed copy of this, because this was back when they used to actually put stuff out. In fact, there's even a version here that's for like Windows Vista. This $14 version is for Windows 7. I'd be willing to bet that that would work. Or here's another thing, right? Okay, we're wandering into a really serious gray area here, but if you buy a copy, if you have the physical discs that have all of these Command & Conquer games, I think this might just be a code. Oh, wait a minute. I think this is a code. Digital download, no game disc included. So you're buying a code. I bet that code works on Steam. Because this shit had to be on Steam, right? Before it was delisted?
Maybe?
Before they put it on Origin? I mean, if it's a game, if it's a code, it's either going to be a code for Steam or it's going to be a code for Origin. In any case, buy it on Amazon, and then you can you won't be giving your money directly to EA. I personally don't think that EA... I mean, I don't know. Like, if you feel real strongly about it, don't do it.
The Sims is kind of hard, kind of expensive.
Kind of depends on which Sims, though, right?
Yeah, well, he wants, I think, the first one. Based on what he's saying, at least.
PC games, is there not like a bundle?
Not really. The only one that exists that's looked like a bundle is hella expensive.
Yeah, Sims is probably going to be harder to get. The other thing is if you can find a legit copy somewhere, and then download it. Whoa, dude! There's a CD of the Sims Complete Collection for $100.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, wait, but here's just the Sims for Windows 98 for $35. So here's a deluxe edition of the Sims for $40. I mean, the problem with the Sims, right, is just the way the Sims was, where they like sold the base game and then they had like 1 million expansions for it. So,
and there's a lot of mods for it too.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say for Command & Conquer, you could look into that. For the Sims, you might have to get a little bit more creative. I don't know. Maybe for there's a difference between buying all the EA games that come out and buying one EA game for your back catalog.
It really just comes down to how strongly do you feel about that sort of thing.
I wonder if you can buy like The Sims. If I type into Google The Sims Steam code,
it's gonna be all The Sims 3, I think.
Sims 3 or 4. Sims 3. I wonder if The Sims 1 was ever even on Steam.
I doubt it, to be honest.
So, I don't know. Give it a shot. I mean, I would say it's one of those things that depends on how hard if you really feel strongly about giving EA your money, well, then you might not have a good way to get The Sims.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can get Command & Conquer, and it's not that hard. So,
luckily.
Yeah. Mauricio writes in and says, hello, Jeff Michael. Mauricio here with a question. The context. So Astral Chain came out, and never before have I seen such mixed reviews where generic journalism people say it's Platinum's best game while hardcore action gamers are not really liking it. It's not as good as DMC and Bayonetta and has some issues. Question, what was a game that you like/hate but the entire world seems to love and vice versa despite all the problems it had? Mauricio, you don't need to put like context. It's
kind of funny.
He says 2, also coming from Astral Chain, some of the bosses were great, but that final boss really sucked and I felt disappointed with it. What were some other games that you loved but the final boss didn't hit the landing and was really disappointed? Thanks and take care. That's from Mauricio. First off, I'm going to just say right now that we're not going to relitigate. We're not relitigating, but I do know from when DMC came out that like Devil May Cry fans of that style of action game are really
they're
picky.
hard to please.
They're super picky. Like if there is a way to exploit a triple S rank with one combo or whatever, game's garbage. It's shitty and fuck you. Like I know there's a lot of people that don't even like Bayonetta because I feel like for a lot of people that are fans of this type of game, Devil May Cry is like the only acceptable character action game that's ever been made. Like
he's not wrong.
None of the other Platinum games seem to stack up to that. And it's like, I don't care because let's say there's an exploitable combo. I don't give a shit. Like I don't care about getting a triple S rank on every stage. I care about if it's a fun game or not.
Yeah, the argument with a lot of those people is that they want it to be very technical.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and they want this very intense kind of thing, which can be fun depending on the person. I really like the Devil May Cry games, but I also really like Bayonetta.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Those games are fucking great, as well as a lot of their other character action games. Like I think Wonderful 101 is a really good kind of character-y action game sometimes. They're really hard to please. Like they're stupid hard to please.
I guess
people.
When I found out about that, it was when the DMC demo came out, and I was watching a demo, or I was watching somebody online, and it was like a video that was like, this DMC game is trash, and the reason it was trash was because of how easy it was to get a high rank combo, and I'm like, well, I could care less about that. Like, I don't care at all about that. Now I know that your problems with that, instead of not going to relitigate, are more about the story. Stuff.
The thing is, there's a lot because the reason I don't put myself with those fans is because my hatred of DMC came from this long line of like the actual point leading up to it.
Right.
A lot of people actually forgot existed. Yeah. Because that's the thing. That's one of the reasons I think DMC is like a little more beloved now, because people forgot the thing that led up to the point where it got made. And I will never forget that kind of sequence, only because it was very strange. Like, especially like for rebooting a franchise, the first thing you do is tell the old fans that the thing they like kind of sucked. Kind of thing. It was a strange thing to do. I was like, well, that's weird, but okay. And then continuously doing that as it progressed. But Astral Chain didn't really do any of that stuff. It was like, hey, here's a new thing, a lot of new stuff, kind of thing. And people just are kind of weird about that sort of thing.
So I guess the question was, what was a game that you felt one way, and the entire everybody else, it seemed like, felt a different way, felt the opposite?
I will
DMC.
No, I will no, because DMC. Everyone I knew love that.
No. That's my answer.
DMC. Yeah, for you that would be your answer.
I like that game. Hey, do you want to make that our next sequential?
I bring up. You know what? I wouldn't be super against it because I never finished it.
Oh, really?
I never did.
Okay.
I would consider it.
It's not a long game.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I heard it wasn't that long. And the thing was, I was so like upset at the time. Because at this point, I feel like I've cooled down enough that I probably would be like, you know what? Okay, fine. I could try it again.
Sure.
Kind of thing. But the thing is, it's never going to be like my favorite in any shape or form, because it just had a really bad development time frame for me.
Yeah. Like Borderlands 3, right?
Exactly. And
it's not necessarily the game that you have a problem with, is like
it was everyone
accoutrements.
Like it was a lot of the people involved, and a lot of the shit they said about like just all the Devil May Cry games was my issue with it.
I gotcha. Especially
the director. Fuck that guy. That dude was such a dick about everything. But for me, that answer still comes down to that Bionic Commando game. I still really like that Bionic Commando game a lot.
You talk about it all the time.
I do, actually. Here's the thing. Bionic Commando, there's two Capcom games that I thought people gave a lot of shit for, a little more than they should have. It's Bionic Commando 2008 and Dark Void. Because I thought Dark Void actually...
People give Dark Void a lot of shit?
People gave Dark Void a lot of shit. Yeah. Like, that's one of the reasons it failed as much as it did.
I just remember being kind of like, eh.
That was the thing. Like, it failed because a lot of people were like, this game's garbage. It's like, actually, it's really solid. It's just, it really just needed a lockout button. That's really what it needed.
Right.
Is what it came down to on that one. And with Bionic Commando, its plot is really what fucked it over more than anything. But the game itself was pretty solid.
I mean, I take your pick, Mauricio. I mean, it's like the whole point of this podcast. Like, I had, like we talked about last week, I had some fun with Anthem, and everybody's just like, boo! And I'm like, I had a little bit of fun with it. Like, boo, no, boo, boo!
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, fine, boo, I guess. And then, like, everybody's, I can't count the number of times recently. I mean, everybody loves fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm just like, I'm not super excited for it. Or like when Uncharted 4 came out, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've said everything we need to say about Nathan Drake, and everybody was like, no, they're the best games that ever been made. Shut up. You shut your mouth. And
I still really like Duke Nukem Forever.
Meh. I think Duke Nukem Forever is hilarious. It's so bad it's hilarious.
I love that game. I bought its DLC as well, and I really like the DLC too.
But you legitimately like it.
Yeah, I legitimately like that game.
Yeah.
Like the issue it has is that it has really long load times.
Yeah.
The humor is super outdated, but I think the gameplay itself is pretty solid for the most part, except for the weird driving sequences.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I know one of my famous examples was when and the reason that I will never I will always try at least to stick to my guns is Watch Dogs, because everybody was super hyped for Watch Dogs.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, I don't know. There seems like there might be stretching the truth a little bit. And then the game came out, and I was like, ha! Vindication!
Suck it, guys. Also, Anarchy Reigns, I really liked a lot, but everyone I knew also really liked Anarchy Reigns. And I know
sequel to Mad World.
Yeah, but that's because we played the multiplayer a lot.
Yeah,
because the multiplayer is really what sold that game for me the most. So, and his plot was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's probably good.
Great soundtrack as well.
Everybody likes Ocarina, but I didn't play it when I was a kid, and I
Same
just
actually.
didn't.
Yeah. I don't gravitate towards it like everybody else does.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, "This is the greatest Zelda game ever," and I'm like, "I'm gonna play Link to the Past again."
you and me both.
I love a fucking Link to the Past. It's such a good game.
I'm trying to think of anything else that kind of fit in that category. I mean, I know for a long time, like the spin up on Dark Souls took time.
It took a while.
Like when Dark Souls first came out, it was niche, and and a lot of people were like, "Fuck Dark Souls!
Well,
Dark Souls is a shitty game." And I was like,
I remember when it came out. It was,
you.
when it came out, everyone I knew like essentially whispered about it, kind of thing, like as if it was this whole new thing. Like, you hear about this Dark Souls thing? So yeah, this fucking crazy ass, fucking hard ass game. Like it was like this. It was almost like a legend.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, the people are like, "Yeah, this Dark Souls thing. You heard about this shit?" And then we finally played it. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of neat," but I never got into like that far into it.
It's funny because I'm playing the Surge 2 right now, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm wondering just how different the mechanics in the Surge 2 are from the Surge 1. If I just was worse at that style of game when I played the Surge 1, and I just tried to kind of brute force the Surge 1, and it didn't work, and I'm like, maybe I should go back and try playing the Surge 1 again, because I remember a lot of the people that like the Soul stuff liked that, but a lot of those people also they hate everything that's not Dark Souls. Like
I think the Gears of War series is another one that I'm not super into, but everybody else was.
Well, it's like that for me with Halo,
Yeah.
right? I've tried, and it's just meow.
I think I'm like that with Tekken. I want to like Tekken, but it's really difficult.
Or here's a concept: multiplayer. I'm just not into it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the kind of guy you are, it makes sense though. Like, and it's fair. It's one of those things where I can't fault you for that sort of thing.
MOBAs, battle royale, like all that stuff, just kind of was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I got to play with other people, and the whole point is to kill other people, and it's like,
To work together. No,
bleh. Boo.
To answer your second question though, Arkham Asylum.
A game where you love, but the final boss didn't hit. Oh, with the Joker fight, with the big
Definitely
Joker
Arkham
fight.
Asylum. Yeah, because it's just kind of weird compared to what I was expecting.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this, Mauricio. Honestly, lots of games have bad last
They
bosses.
really do.
Most games don't really know how to stick the landing because it's easier to. I mean, we were talking last week. I love BioShock. The final boss of BioShock is garbage. Like fighting Frank Fontaine. Like if you have the gel shooter and electric gel that stuns him, you just walk up to him and hold down that button, and he can't do anything because you're stunning him and killing his health.
And you can also just program if you have the one for that reprograms the turrets.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
Yep. I mean,
He just dies immediately.
It's terrible. And at the end of Dark Souls 1, the final boss is pathetic, and that's the point, right? Is that Gwyn has been so consumed by the fire over the years that he's not a challenge. On the other hand, Dark Souls 3's final boss is dumb. It's like the souls of all of the heroes from the time past have amalgamated it, and it's like, well, that's not really an antagonist, right? Like,
just kind of weird.
What am I doing here?
The Punisher game's another one. Like it's the thing. There's a lot of games that are just like the final boss is just like, oh, this is just kind of stupid.
I mean, look. I know how this is going to sound because in some cases it's the most awesome thing in the world, but at the end of Resident Evil 5, Wesker turns into like a lava dinosaur, right? Like
kind of lame, actually.
And you got to punch the boulder, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing? We're in Africa, and this like weird, like it's like eliciting Black Hawk Down almost, and then it's like by the end of this game, Albert Wesker, the guy you've been chasing through the entire franchise has turned into a lava dinosaur.
And you rocket launcher him or something. It's fucking dumb.
Wait, is he a lava dinosaur?
He's
or
a
am I thinking
lava
of the
something.
dinosaur at the end of Resident Evil 6, right? There's that weird... Is it you fight in the museum or something? I don't even remember what happened.
That's the
at end
thing is that both of those
Resident
games kind of blend together.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, who was the last boss in 7? Oh, but 7 worked. 7 worked.
7's final boss is pretty nice, actually.
Yeah. But like a lot of games, I mean, the Mass Effect 3, there's not really a final boss. I mean, the final boss is, not really that big a deal.
It's like a boss.
Hell, Mass Effect 2.
Rush.
Well, beloved, you remember the final boss is the big Terminator full of liquefied humans? It's a Reaper.
Human Reaper,
Yeah.
And even then, it was pretty lame.
It was stupid. It was fucking stupid.
A weird twist. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like lots of games have bad final, like quote unquote final boss, because I feel like the gaming industry feels like we have to have a final boss, but then how you up the stakes, like, I don't know, it's just difficult and weird. And
like there's a lot of games where there's a final boss that was very like that you're just like, oh, I can't wait for the final boss after you beat them. Right. Like, oh wait, that was it. Like Halo 2's final thing, it's just this like brute with a hammer, and you can kill him really easily if you know how to. And you're just like, oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. And sometimes it's not even a final boss. Like the final boss is like a weird sequence kind of thing with explosions or something.
Yeah.
But
even I was just looking through my games, even like I love Doom 2016, right? But even the final boss in Doom was kind of like, it's kind of, I mean, that's just business as usual. Here's another thing to kill.
Like some of the greatest final bosses tend to be like, Dracula. Like that's a fantastic final boss in the Castlevania games kind of thing. Very few games actually do have fantastic final bosses.
Yep. I agree. All right. Let's move on. We've spent 20 minutes on that one. Let's do some Discord questions.
Sure.
Here's the one that I skipped last week. I hate everyone, so shut up says, hey, Jeff Michael, I was looking at the music release dates and my birthday coincides with Meatloaf's classic, I Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. My question is there any song or albums released on your birthday?
I know Richard Nixon was.
This is very difficult information to just track down, especially for the two of us. But I did find a website that tells you like notable things that happened in music, and specifically, it's like the charts, like chart-topping songs for your birthday. So, Michael, you told me your birthday in 1990. Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins was that was the number one song. You're born under the sign of Phil Collins. Let's see. In 1992, Black or White by Michael Jackson was on your birthday was number one. What do we got? Hero by Mariah Carey. On Bended Knee by Boyz II Men.
Jesus.
Unbreak My Heart by Tony Braxton.
Oh, God. I haven't heard of half of the songs that are on Nickelback, apparently.
Yeah.
How You Remind Me in 2002.
Hey, in 2004, it was Hey Ya by Outkast.
I'm okay with that
one.
What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera.
Yeah. Let Me Love You by Mario. I do not know that.
I don't know either.
2006, then you got the Laffy Taffy. You got that Laffy Taffy.
Oh, Firework by Katy Perry.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of nice.
Oh, you got TikTok by Kesha. Wake up in the morning and brush your teeth with Jack Daniels.
Oh, jeez.
And Sexy and I Know It in 2012
oh my God.
by LMFAO.
That's 22.
Oh, boy.
Jesus Christ. This is an interesting one.
And
Ed Sheeran of the recent one.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran and Beyonce in 2018. Yep. So you get some good stuff in there.
Some decent stuff.
Yeah.
Adele's Hello.
Yep.
That's in 2016.
I got a lot more on my list because I'm old. So, but when I was born, it was Night Fever.
That's kind of awesome, though.
And then in 1980, it was Call Me by Blondie. I mean, I was born in 78, so I've got the whole 80s to
You got all the cool shit.
I Love Rock and Roll by Joe Jett and the Blackhearts.
Billie Jean.
Yep, Billie Jean. Kiss by Prince. We Are the World.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Billy Ocean's Get Out of My Dreams and Get Into My Car in 1988. Oh, nice. But see, it's like cheating to do this in the 80s because everybody knows every song from the 80s.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, but even then, yeah.
But 1993, Informer by Snow. I was 15.
A lot of R. Kelly stuff. Bump and Grind.
Bump and Grind. This Is How We Do It.
Let's
see. Nope, No Scrubs in 99. Let's see. Candy Shop.
Touch My Body by Mariah Carey.
Yeah, none of this. Boom Boom,
Boom
Pow
Pow
by the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh boy.
In the year 2009. See, I got E.T. by Katy Perry.
Oh, you got Happy by Pharrell Williams. That fucking
doesn't work.
minion.
Doesn't work for me. I also got an Ed Sheeran song, "Shape of You" in 2017.
Yeah.
I've never listened to Ed Sheeran once in my life.
Me neither.
I don't. Was he the guy that was in Game of Thrones that everyone's mad about?
Yeah, the redheaded dude.
So yeah, I got a few on here. I'm just envious about you got the LMFAO song.
That's kind of cool, actually.
But you did get "Sexy and I Know It."
I'm also okay with that.
Which is the video where they're all just like bouncing their dongs up and down. And it's really weird.
I guess that's true.
Like, I don't know. The Laffy Taffy. Laffy Taffy.
The Laffy Taffy. Yeah, I share a birthday with Richard Nixon.
Oh, yeah?
And J.K. Simmons.
Charlie Chaplin was on mine. Anyway, yep. Let's see. Septum Sin writes in and says, "Greetings, Rage Lords. I recently went with my wife to see the Downton Abbey movie and spent the previous 2 weeks before watching the series to prepare. I have friends that would read all the Wheel of Time books before a new release, and I used to replay all the Final Fantasies before a new release." Oh, my God.
That's insane.
Oh,
that last one is insane.
There's no reason to. They're not in continuity.
No, they're not.
Is there any game or book that has you revisiting the source material this way? Best wishes, Septum Sin versus the world. I think I've only done that once, and it was when MGS5 was going to come out, and I didn't play 1 or 2, but I played 3, and then I played Peace Walker, and then I played 4, even though 4, but it's like, you can never really tell what all you're going to need to know.
Yeah.
And like, since 5 came after Peace Walker, I wanted to play Peace Walker and 3.
Which was a good idea.
And then I played 4 just because I was like, I wonder if this game holds up. And I was like, I think it does.
I really like that game.
It's convoluted AF, but it holds up.
I do that a lot, actually.
Yeah?
We've discussed that a bunch of times, actually.
Yeah, you just played through all the Halo games.
I did the entirety of the Halo games to get to 5.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing all the Gears of Wars. I started the first one, so I'm thinking of trying to go through all those.
You didn't start with Judgment, the canonical prequel?
Is it actually?
Uh-huh.
Actually, I might look into that. It turns out it is on the Game Pass, actually.
Oh, yeah?
So I actually might consider that.
I think it is, because I think it's about Baird, like in the war that happened before E-Day.
I didn't know that.
I think
I have to look into that.
Completely mistaken.
But yeah, I'm going to try to do all the Gears of Wars. I tried rewatching all of the BoJack. Before each one comes out, because I did that the last time, and then the one before that, and the one before that.
Oh, you just told me there's a new Good Place. It's so easy to watch all the Good Place.
It's super easy,
like
to watch
in the background while you're just doing something else.
I was talking to a coworker. That's what he's doing right now. He's watching all the Good Place so he can catch up to get to the current season. I did it with Metal Gear. When Metal Gear 5 came out, I had finally had a PS3, so I started plowing through. I plowed through all the first 4.
Right.
Started Peace Walker. I got most of the way through, and then ended up watching the rest of the cutscenes because 5 was release date was getting very, very close at that time. And so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just watch the rest of it." And so I just watched the rest of it, and then I did that again for another game. I'm trying to remember what it was. It wasn't the Spider-Man one. What the hell was it? The Arkham games.
Oh, okay.
I did that with the Arkham when Arkham Knight came out. I replayed the entirety of Asylum and City, and then went straight into Night. Well, actually, I also played Origins because I had Origins, and then I went into Night right after that. Because it turns out Night mentions a lot of what happened in Origins, actually, which I didn't notice.
Shaking my head
until recently. I still really like that one a lot.
No, I mean, this seems like a colossal time investment.
Well, this was when
you could have been playing a bunch of other games instead of those games.
This is when I was still working retail, so I had a lot of time for a lot of those.
Oh, okay.
Especially during the Metal Gear ones.
Of course, a lot of those games like Metal Gear, like Dark Souls or whatever. I can knock Dark Souls out in a day. I can
finish Metal Gear 1 in a few hours.
Yeah,
because it's like if you know everything and you have everything, you just plow through that shit.
Yeah.
Same with 2.
Especially got a save game with the invisibility camo
and the headband.
Or the headband.
Just murder everything.
Yep.
No one can see me if no one's here. That kind of thing. I do that a lot. I did it. I thought about doing it with Luigi's Mansion actually. because they saw the first one on the 3DS and the second one on the 3DS already.
Oh, okay.
And then the third one's coming out, so I'm considering it, but I don't know if I'll ever have time.
Do you think you're going to need to know the rich continuity of Luigi's Mansion before you play Luigi's Mansion? See,
I think it's fun because there actually is a continuity for them.
I think the reason that I don't do that more often is because I feel like if I played all of Luigi's Mansion 1 and all of Luigi's Mansion 2, then when Luigi's Mansion 3 came out, I'd be like, I'm fucking done with Luigi's Mansion. Like, I need to play something else.
I did that again with the Ace Attorney games.
Oh my god!
When 5 was coming out.
So long.
When 5 was coming out.
They're so long.
They had re-released them on the 3DS, so and then I had to, because I made it my mission to play them all at that point. And the only one I never finished was the second Miles Edgeworth one.
Okay.
Because it was a Japanese only game for one.
Yeah.
And I had to either download a English ROM that I put onto a flash that it let me play it on a DS.
Like an R5 card or
yeah,
something
an R5
like
card.
that?
Because my friend Ilario bought it for me for my birthday one time. It broke eventually, so I never that's the reason I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Because it broke and it wouldn't read correctly anymore. And I got like halfway through it. And it was really weird because the people who made that English version, they had auditions to have people do the objections for people that weren't that never had an English voice.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And I thought that was really cool, actually. Like, they did a lot of work because it took them like 2 years to translate that whole thing. Because there's like a mini game in it that doesn't exist in any of the other games as well.
Okay,
it's like it's called like Knowledge Chess or something. It's really strange.
Okay, yeah. So I don't is the answer, Septum Sin, but Michael
a lot
does quite a bit.
Do it a lot.
Let's see. Mad Ms. Moxie, no, we answered that question already. Jonathan Scratch wrote, best way to grill a cheese, go. There's only one good way to grill a cheese.
Yeah, I was like, also I wouldn't know because I don't really make those.
It's you just put it on. I actually thought this was in the Food Select channel, so I responded with a Binging with Babish thing where he's trying to make the grilled cheese deluxe from it's like regular show or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, I remember that episode.
He makes like 8 different. He makes way more than that. He makes a bunch of different grilled cheese sandwiches with different types of cheese. And what he finally figures out is that nothing melts. Old aged cheese releases a lot of oil when you melt it, and so if you try to use like a fancy cheese to make grilled cheese with, it releases all this oil and it just makes your bread really soggy. So he literally takes like 3 or 4 cheeses. It's a great episode, and he melts them in evaporated milk and basically cooks this cheese into like he cooks it down into like a combination of different cheese flavors and then puts it in like a cylinder with wax paper and then puts it in his fridge for a day and lets it re-harden into cheese. But because it's been pre-melted and it's not aged anymore, you can cut it and put it in a grilled cheese and it'll still stretch like a grilled cheese instead of doing that. But
that's really cool.
Yeah. I made grilled cheese twice. You really just need American cheese. It's like the reason that I bought for a long time about putting American cheese on a burger, because American cheese isn't really cheese, it's like oil and stuff, but American cheese melts. That's what you want. It melts like
fucking crazy.
It melts the best. So yeah, American cheese, white bread, butter, cast iron skillet, you're good to go. You're good to go. Or nonstick skillet or anything. Hot stone, maybe. It'd be a really hot stone. I don't really make that many grilled cheeses though, because I'm not a big cheese fan.
That's fair.
So RJ says, hey there, Jeff and Michael. So my friend and I were talking about music journalism the other day. And he mentioned that he thinks it's kind of a dying art because albums don't cost $20 anymore and anyone can just listen and decide if it's good for themselves. This got me to thinking, do you think game journalism will stay alive for the exact reason? Reason being that games still cost $60 and are a huge time investment, so it's easier for someone else to just tell you if it's good. Thanks, and that's from RJ. I think that it's difficult to say because albums and games are kind of different things, right?
They're completely different when it comes to that sort of thing.
Albums are a different sort of experience than a game is.
Also, when it comes to the journalism part of it, there's a lot more that you can look into gaming-wise than I think there is nowadays with music.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of development, there's a lot of interviews you can do with a whole lot of people. Because that's the thing with the musicians, it tends to be like maybe the writer, if there's a writer of the song or
songwriter,
the mixer, that kind of thing. It's a little more limited to what they can do. And then, like you said, like a lot of those songs don't even cost that much anymore.
Or you can just watch it on YouTube and then see if you like it, right?
Like I did that with the new, the latest Blink-182 album. Somebody just put the entire thing in like a 47-minute long video.
Oh, so I think it's on Spotify.
Exactly, but that's the thing is it's super easy to get a hold of.
Yeah,
like a lot of music nowadays. So like that's part of the reason I feel like that's sort of been dying off a little bit.
Plus, describing like I feel like there's okay. You can describe what an album is like, but you're going to be doing it in very esoteric terms.
Yeah.
You're going to be talking about how, like, well, the melodies are not quite as sumptuous as they were in the artist's previous. Not that they're all snooty or whatever, but like, I think it's hard to describe music to somebody, whereas I can say, hey, I played that new, Space Pants game. It's like Doom, but you've got like a laser and it's like a little bit more Call of Duty and they don't have any of the executions. And like, you will know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm already picturing a game like in my head.
So like I can describe a game where it's like Grand Theft Auto, except that you ride dogs the entire time.
That sounds awesome.
And you are a dog. And it's like, it looks a lot like Nobi Nobi Boy. And it's got like kind of the, like you can describe certain elements. Whereas like if I was like the new Blink-182 album, it's kind of like a Rancid album, but then sort of like their back half of their second album, and the melodies are not quite as good. And you'd be like, I mean, if you really knew,
if I knew what you were talking about, it would make like at least a little sense,
right?
But with games, it's much easier.
Well, it's just because games are so much more interactive. So we know, like, two people can listen to music and get a vastly different experience.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd say, yes, two people play games and they have different experiences, but like a lot of games, first-person shooters are first-person shooters. We kind of know how a first-person shooter is. So then it's the question of like getting into the nitty-gritty. I don't know. I think personally, RJ, that the reason game journalism will stay alive is because of the amount of games that exist.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody to go through and find hidden gems and tell us about them, as opposed to, especially now with Steam. Like, how would you know? Like, Untitled Goose Game apparently is like taking the internet by storm. Everybody loves it.
It's great,
but Untitled Goose Game could just as well have been kind of bad. Like,
yeah, it absolutely could.
There's nothing looking at it that we would know until we played it, and the only way to play it these days is to spend $15. So,
and the thing is, it's like, I think the other reason it's different is because it's closer to movie journalism, than it is game journalism, and that hasn't died for years, kind of thing. So I feel like that's one of the reasons I feel like they'll both last for as long as they can.
Yeah. I think we got time for one more question. So let's do. I haven't actually read this one, so I don't know. Maybe I'm stepping into a bee's nest over here. Jonathan Scratch writes in and says, "What's up? Salutations to you, Jeff and Michael. You're both looking highly intelligent and distractingly attractive today, I assume."
He's lying.
So that there Final Fantasy VII remake, I got some complicated feelings about it that only get more complicated with more information. I can't help but have this feeling in the back of my mind that it's targeted, weaponized nostalgia aimed right at me. It feels strange, kind of cool, but also a little greasy, like if John Waters made a sci-fi space opera film. Have you felt this thing? This strange combination of joy of seeing something you loved as a youngin' being made with modern sensibilities, yet tainted by the knowledge that purely capitalistic forces had a hand in it even existing. As always, sorry I wrote y'all a mini essay for a question, but you're fucking badasses and shit, so I know you can take it. Keep it real. John, scratch out. I'm interested to hear your take on this, Michael.
No,
I've got my own take.
I get what he's talking about. Like, sure, I like the Crash Bandicoot games, but I know full well why those things exist.
Yeah,
it's a capitalistic thing of like, hey, this is an easy way to make money off of you. Same with remasters. Like the Ghostbusters remaster is coming out next week, and I know full well they're doing it because A, it's the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters, and B, they know full well I'm going to buy that game for the 30th time, kind of thing. Like, I'm going to do it. I do that with a lot of stuff. Like. And the thing is, I feel weird about it every time.
Do you?
Yeah. Like, especially with the Crash Bandicoot one. Like, that was one of those ones where it's like, well, I could just re-download the games because they were on the PS3 at one point.
Yeah.
And I owned them all at that point. Or I could just, but then, like, because I knew it was coming from Activision. Because Activision, as we talked about earlier now,
It's garbage.
they don't care about people.
Yeah,
like it's clear why they're doing that sort of thing. And the Crash Team Racing thing recently showed that that's very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
And when every time something gets re-released in some way, and the thing is, I rarely ever argue against some of them because sometimes I want to own them again in an easier way of playing them.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to, like we've talked about plenty of times, well, we would love an MGS1 remake.
Yeah.
Kind of things. Like, and it would probably be made for capitalistic reasons, especially the way the Konami is now. But I know full well I would probably buy that thing.
Well, the other thing is you gotta keep track of, like, they're all made for capitalistic reasons. Like, very few games are made as like a pure artistic expression.
Yeah.
They're made to sell $60 video games, right? Like, so there's a do you know Lindsay Ellis? Ex-nostalgia chick from she has a video called Thanks I Hate It that's about the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Yeah.
Where she has a quote from Michael Eisner that's about where he talks about, like, my job is to make money, but in making money, we're going to make products, and we may end up making products that are art, right? Because art sells. So you find a person who's passionate about a project, give them the resources to make a work of art, but they're only doing it so that you can sell it and make money off of it, but that doesn't mean that it's any less a work of art. Yeah. Now, I understand that what you're talking about, what Jonathan Scratch talking about, is like the more mercenary aspect of, like, well, you nerds liked the Modern Warfare game, which I feel like was made from Weston Zampella legitimately trying something new, and now it's like, well, the sales in the Call of Duty franchise are flagging. Let's go back to the well because we know that people have nostalgia for Modern Warfare. Or say Final Fantasy 15 didn't sell as well as we thought it was going to, and the nerds all want
No, that's kind of what, but that's how they
endearing.
That's how they think, though.
Endearing, yes. And
they don't think of the people as, like, they would probably be the kind of guys who said the nerds would want that kind of thing.
And Final Fantasy VII was the best-selling Final Fantasy game, so let's go do that. People have been clamoring for years to remake Final Fantasy VII. If we split it up, we can actually put out 3 Final Fantasy VIIs or 2 Final Fantasy VIIs.
Well, everything that came out after Final Fantasy VII that was Final Fantasy VII related was made for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
Like the Dirge of Cerberus, the movie. Everyone talked
Advent
about
Children. Yep.
Yeah, everyone talked about how great Final Fantasy VII was. What was the Crisis Core? That was
Crisis
the other
Core on the PSP.
All of those were made because Final Fantasy VII did really well. And when they made Spirits Within, people were like, "Why don't you just do Final Fantasy VII?" And they're like, "Fine, we'll do Final Fantasy VII. Fuck you guys." And it made them money, so they're just like, "Okay, why don't we just keep doing that?" And then people got tired of it for a little bit, and then people asked again about Final Fantasy VII, and they're like, and then the fucking dollar signs went in their eyes.
Hell, I mean, look at, we were just talking about Devil May Cry, right? DMC flopped, and so they put out Devil May Cry 5. Did we really need Devil May Cry 5? We didn't probably need it, but, like,
I'm glad it came out finally.
Yeah. Or, the RE7 going in a weird direction. Like, the thing is that...
And then they went back to RE2.
Right.
It's another good example of weaponized nostalgia. Mm-hmm. And it did well for them.
And you know what? RE2 was made with a lot of attention. It was a fun game,
Made with a lot of
love. Like, we were talking earlier about PT. Like, PT is great, but PT was a thing to get you excited to buy the $60 Silent Hills game, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, it wasn't like Hideo Kojima was just out there making games for nobody, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it was a thing that he was making to get people psyched for the thing that cost the money, so you could get the money so you can make more games.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like weaponizing your childhood, weaponized nostalgia, it doesn't feel weird to me anymore because I'm 40 and they already did it.
Yeah, they
did it with my entire childhood all the time. Just go back to the A-Team movie, the G.I. Joe movie, the Transformers movie. Those are my childhood things.
Hell, the sequels to older movies right now, like the new Rambo, which just came out.
Oh God, yeah.
They keep talking about making another a RoboCop sequel,
sure,
kind of thing. Like
or the re-releases of. They remade RoboCop. They remade Total Recall.
And another Terminator's coming out pretty soon.
Ghostbusters, where they keep trying to bring that back. So, like, they already took everything from my childhood and repackaged it and tried and sold it to me again. And I finally lost what they did for me, Jeff of Rage Select, was they destroyed the part of me that gets super excited without an analytical reason. Like I'm not just like, oh shit, I love Star Wars. There's gonna be new Star Wars. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not excited for this one.
They
like,
did that to a lot of people. I got into not argument. I got into a long discussion about Star Wars.
Yeah.
With my coworkers. Exact same thing. It's like they took Star Wars to the point where it's like, oh, none of us are excited about this new movie. Like none of us are.
But see, here's the thing. I have not been excited since the end of the prequel trilogy.
Which is fair.
Like, I don't understand how the weird thing about this new Star Wars is that it's got people going back about prequel trilogy wasn't that bad. I'm like, yes, it was.
No, it was really bad.
Episode 1 sucks donkey
I will
dick.
never say
right?
that. Like I'm never going to say that 1 is better than 7 or anything like that because it's not.
No,
that's the thing. It's not.
But
got a good fight scene. I'll give it that much.
But it's funny for me because it's like I feel like Matt and I had these long conversations when the Power Rangers movie was getting ready to come out. And he was like, oh, no, I don't know if it's going to be any good. I'm like, no, it's not going to be any good.
It's going to be awful.
I already lived through this. They did it to me. Now they're coming for you. Like, the only thing is that you guys, the generation after me, millennials or Gen Y or whatever it is, I don't really know.
At this point, yeah.
You guys kind of have a leg up in that the Marvel stuff has taught them that if they put some actual effort into it instead of just like cheaply and as disgustingly as possible remastering, remaking, sequelizing a thing, that they can actually make money off of it.
Yeah.
Because they would make comic book movies when I was a kid, but they never seem to realize that it's like you have to give them to somebody who actually cares about them.
Yeah, because I still grew up at a time where they were awful. Like I remember Steel, kind of thing. Like I remember seeing that Captain America VHS for that awful movie that eventually came out,
Rhett Brown or whatever.
Yeah, and then there's a lot.
Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. Mm-hmm. That was another one that I eventually saw. That was like, oh, this was
it's better than
fucking
that.
Weird.
I remember. Did you ever watch Elektra?
I did.
It was so boring.
It was garbage.
It was just like I was just like, all right, let's get to Elektra already, and then it was like, nope.
And that was after. Then that was a sequel to an already
Daredevil.
Not very good comic book movie, Daredevil. And it was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like the only one that was considered fairly good at that point, besides the first 2 Batmans, and I like Forever Fine, was The Blade. And even then, Blade 1 was the only one that people were like, was good? I'm using quoting marks here.
All the Blades are equal in quality.
And then, well, no, Blade 3 is just really bad compared to the first 2.
Blade 3 is awesome.
It's only awesome because Ryan Reynolds is awesome in it.
It's also awesome because fucking Parker Posey is in it as a bad guy. Fucking weird bitch queen. I can watch Parker Posey vampire and Ryan Reynolds vampire hunter quip at each other forever.
The behind the scenes for Blade 3 is way more interesting than the actual
Blade
movie.
3 the one where Dracula comes back, or is that the one where they have the weird
it's the one where Dracula comes back,
the faces open up? That's Blade 2.
That's the second one, with Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
No, the third one is the one where fucking Wesley Snipes didn't want to be in any of his actual scenes half the time.
I remember there was a lot of CGI wrestling moves at the end of that movie.
Yes, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of sequences apparently. There's like, if you've heard of the backstory of a lot of sequences in that movie, right?
No,
it's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
So it turns out a lot of times Wesley Snipes didn't want to be in a lot of his sequences. That's why a lot of sequences are filmed from the back because they just have a random dude.
Oh, okay.
And so sometimes they would film a sequence and then edit it to where the people were in the same room with him because he was such a shitty person to work with.
Okay.
It was really bad. Like if you guys ever get a chance, look up the behind the scenes stuff that people talk about because it's fucking funny as shit because he was so full of himself at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing.
But yeah, I mean, like I look at it now, right? And Invader Zim movie, right?
And it's really good. The Rocco
Rocco
special was pretty good.
I'm seeing stuff that was kind of a little past my time, starting to become the beginning of remakes, remasters, and whatnot. And but like I said, in a lot of ways, Jonathan Scratch, that Final Fantasy VII remake. There's money in there.
Yeah.
Like when you look at it, like somebody's putting effort into it. This is not like they actually already did the churn out quote unquote remaster, the version they put out on the PC and they put out like a second version on the PC with slightly higher resolution models and it all kind of looks like garbage.
See, the reason I'm not completely weirded out by this version is like you said, this is the most polished I've ever seen a Square game in a long time.
Sure. I mean,
Like, it's crazy.
Like, and you've got stuff out there like Shadow of the Colossus or like the Halo, the Master Chief Collection, where they're actually gone back and like actually redone games as opposed to just basically just I mean, the beginning
the Crash
of
Bandicoot ones are like that too.
Yeah,
Completely made from the ground up almost.
that Spyro remaster that they did was really
Crash
good.
Team Racing one.
But like in the beginning of this, you remember the beginning of this console generation was just like, we took the PC version and put it on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One.
There's a God of War 3 remaster on the PS4. Just God of War 3, by the way.
Yep.
Not God of War 1 and 2.
The ones
just
I want
3.
to play.
Like, it's like, what the fuck, guys?
I want to play 1 and 2.
It's one of those things where, like, remasters have gotten more love as time has gone on, and because they're more remakes.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't despair too much, but on the other hand,
At least you know what's happening.
Never buy in fully, right? Like, look, I'm not out here running like as a fucking socialist or anything. But on the other hand, companies aren't your friends. Keep an eye on them. They will fuck you if they can.
That Ghostbusters game that came out.
Games are made for money.
Exactly.
Like, games are made to make money. Nobody puts out. I mean, okay, some people do. Some wackadoo people make weird stuff, but. For the most part, games are an industry. It's like movies, right?
Yeah.
You don't go to movies for free. Like, they made, I just watched Midsummer last week, and it's like, that's an artsy-fartsy film.
And they re-released it with an extended version for more money.
I don't get to go watch Midsummer for free because the director's like, I don't care about, I actually already asked her, I have no idea. But he's like, I don't care about money. I'm doing this for the art. It's like, right, but the theater still charges $7 to go, and Amazon still charges $2 for me to watch it. So,
like Birdman. Birdman is a super artistic film. That dude, all he talked about was how artistic it was. But I also still paid money to watch it, and I paid money to buy it, and I paid money to buy it again, basically.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Yep. And that's our show for this week. Thanks, everybody, for writing in. Thanks to the news, I guess, for
question mark
being.
Thanks to Huey Lewis.
Yes, thank you, Huey Lewis. Thank you, LMFAO, and thank you, Joan Jett. Just thanks to everybody, but most thanks to you who are still listening at the end of a 2+ hour podcast.
We're your final boss.
Yes, that's right. If you want to see, nope, I don't have a good segue. Michael, you're on oneofus.net doing movie reviews sometimes.
If you want to see talk about artsy movies that I didn't pay money for,
God damn, it was right there. Yeah, thank you.
You sometimes might find me on One of Us. I know they're still doing a few things. There wasn't a lot of screenings recently, so I didn't try to get into any of them.
Well, it was also Fantastic Fest last week, so it was all invite-only bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently Joker's is next week, but I didn't get into that one.
Okay.
So.
I might go watch that movie. There's a lot. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
a coworker invited me, so I'm gonna probably end up watching that one actually.
Yeah. Mail@radiosite.com is the email address. Send us your questions and let us know what you think. And bye.